Right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hcast episode 30. Can you believe it? We are on episode 30. Yes, sirree. Today's podcast, well, we've got a doozy. We're going to be talking about the writer's strike because, of course, it's a pretty big thing in the industry at this point in time. Lots going on with it. So we're going to cover some of that. Mario crosses 1 billion, so egg on Grace Randolph's face, and that's always a good, fun topic of discussion. Guardians of the Galaxy is looking like it's going to open to a bomb. The projections for box office are actually really, really bad. We'll get into that, I know. And this is a film I'm personally looking forward to. I'll be watching it tomorrow and giving you my review. But the projections aren't good. We're going to be looking at The Flash and the budget for that because that's just lies, basically. And Little Mermaid box office, that's not looking particularly good either. They don't count it out. And old Rey Skywalker movie, we're going to be talking about that. So if you're new here, you don't know what this is my twice weekly podcast with our illustrious guest, Tom Connors, Culture Casino, normally joined by Nick from Echo Base Network as well. And what this is, we cover a bunch of topics. You guys can join in the chat as well by doing super chats and super stickers. And what we do at the end of each topic, we take a look at what you've said. You can ask us any question you want, or also, of course, chime in on the topics at hand. But please do give the video a big thumbs up and check out in the description box everyone's channel here. So Culture Casino, Tom Connors of Midnight's Edge After Dark, as well as Nick from Echo Base Network when he gets here, and the second podcast channel, Where This Goes. So that's Mistakes Reviews Live Archives. Hit subscribe over there for the full podcasts as well as the highlight clips. How you all doing? Tom, Culture, you all right?
Doing the best I can.
Yeah. I'm making my way in the world today.
Good.
It takes everything.
Go ahead, Tom. Takes everything I've got, right, Tom?
Takes everything you got.
That's right. I cut him off.
Our
timing is off. We haven't got to hang out as much as we need to.
Because somebody went to Vegas.
I know. I feel bad. Stop it.
Should feel bad.
Stop it, both of you.
You missed last week. You should feel bad.
That I do feel bad about. You know. This is one of those ones I really enjoy.
Well, oh God, what are the ones that you don't enjoy? Name it.
Midnight's Edge After Dark, which you hardly ever shows up.
Not true. I love Midnight's Edge After Dark. Why are you mean to me, Tom?
Because I love you, and love hurts sometimes.
Love hurts. Ooh.
And there goes the money to Nazareth.
Oh. Nazareth was pretty cool.
Oh dear, oh dear.
What now you're messing with us, SOB. Not a whole lot. Andre was away for the weekend, so I actually had not a lot to do. So I took some time to try and relax. I mean, I did a few shows here and there, but I tried not to do too much. And then yesterday, of course, was just back to normal.
Yeah, it was.
Culture, you're in Vegas. What were you doing in Vegas?
Yeah, well, what happens in Vegas, it stays kind of in Vegas, although there's a lot of photographs out there. No, I had a lot of fun. Got to meet with a lot of creators out there and a lot of fans. There's a lot of fans out there that show up at the meetups. Nice. And that was a good time. I got to meet a lot of great people, give away my poker chips, of course, that I give away when I go to one of these meetups. And
well, it's a good thing there was a lot of fans in Vegas. I heard it's hot out there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough.
But it was a good time. I wish you both would have been there. I would have liked to have seen everybody.
Yeah, I would have liked to have gone, but alas. And yeah.
You pure blood.
You're not allowed to enter.
I'm not allowed to. So first topic of discussion, guys. And again, like I said, if you want to join in the chat, super chats are the way to do it. So let's talk about the writer's strike. Obviously, it's kind of like the headline title of the podcast. It will shake the industry. And it kind of will, kind of won't. You know, this is a long time coming. What are our general thoughts of the writer's strike on a whole? Because I'm mixed. I'm mixed on this. I think there's pros and cons. I'm not one of these people that is always like, yeah, pro strike, support the strikers. I'm not one of these people. I think that there are pros and cons, and to blindly follow people that strike. You know, you got to have your own opinion on these things. So, what do you think? Culture.
Oh,
well,
me?
I was being pointed to. Go ahead, Culture. You're first.
All right. Not only was it a long time coming, I've been predicting it for better part of 9 months since they started to get into these talks. The industry needs some kind of reform. They also need some safeguards, right? And they don't have any. They haven't for a long time. And then they saw the up and coming Chat GPT amongst other AIs out there and realized that perhaps that would come for their jobs. So they want to guarantee their jobs, which also includes the number of writers in a room and everything else. Ultimately, this was inevitable, and the studios are not giving ground in any way. They didn't even acquiesce to reasonable demands from the guilds. And you know what? This is going to happen not just in writing, but it's going to happen in the other two major guilds as well. So just buckle up, Buttercup. But as far as the rest of that goes, we could be in for another 07, 08. And that is, you know, that's rough. Will it ultimately mean anything? No, material is still going to get written, made, whatever. It just may not be within the guild. And you're still going to get products coming into other countries, just not the United States from here. The WGA East and West is just not allowed to produce material. You have 11,000 people striking in front of the various studios. They've already picked out the locations in New York and California. And you know, we'll end up with some marginal improvements for the writers at the end of the day, but not anywhere close to what they need, and a ever evaporating pool of jobs. You know, not to mention the fact that we will go through a second dearth of material. We already went through one because of the pandemic, and now we're going to go through a second one because of lack of writing. I've been here before. I mean, 15 years ago wasn't that long ago. So yeah, it is what it is. Those are my thoughts initially.
Well, so listen, you know, I know we've got friend of the channels, Script Doctor.
Yeah.
You know, I know that obviously, you know, I that's not going to color my opinion generally. Hollywood writers are fucking terrible at this point in time. Now, it's a combination of horrendous studio interference. It's a combination of the Oscars putting ridiculous quotas on very specific key artistic elements to completely remove art from any shape or form within media now.
Right.
But Hollywood writers are fucking terrible. They really are. They are. By and large, they're absolutely atrocious. We recently had revealed to us, by way of defending the film, that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness had 33 rewrites. Now, that is kind of a what came first, the chicken or the egg situation. You're literally 33 fucking rewrites, and that's the best you got. Now, was it the fact that it was a substandard film that was, you know, submitted first? Or was it a good film that was submitted first and the studio wanted to go in and change it? We don't know. But 33 rewrites and that's the best you get? That's fucking atrocious. That is absolutely awful. And this isn't the first. You know, Disney has a lot. And I point out Disney specifically because it's very public. We see a lot of it going on. It's very, very clear as day. You know, we had Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. They reshot the end literally a couple of weeks before the film released. Again, that's rewrites. It's changing the film structure straight away. We had recently, and one of the topics we'll be covering today, is Damon Lindelof pitched a film to Lucasfilm. He pitched a film to Lucasfilm about Rey Skywalker, right? I know the name offends people, but Rey. They accepted it. He got another writer on board to flesh out. So he obviously pitched a story, started to flesh it out, got another writer on board to flesh that story out. They then binned him off. So they liked the initial pitch, they liked the story, then they binned him off. What's going on, right? So at the end of the day, like, it's a what came first, the chicken or the egg situation. I understand, but by and large, the product we've been receiving isn't worthy of pay rises. It isn't worthy of a lot of job security. A lot of these people are in the wrong job. They're in the wrong job because half these films are not even entertaining. You look at the slew of trailers that get released in this day and age. You can, out of 100 trailers that get released, you could pick out on two hands. You count on two hands, right? So only entering double digits. The amount of films that look interesting from 100 trailers. That's embarrassing. That's a shame. So a lot of these writers are unequivocally in the wrong fucking job as it is. They don't have good experience. They're just out of, literally fresh out of uni or whatever it is, high school, whatever it is over there, college, and they're just political activists. Now, again, is it the industry? Is it the industry shaping these writers throughout the academic field to come out and spew this nonsense into the world? Maybe, but by and large, something's got to give somewhere along the line. So I'm not on anyone's actual side at this point in time, because the product we've been receiving does not warrant strike action. In fact, it warrants everyone else striking against the fucking films, because they are absolutely atrocious of late. Tom, what's your opinion on the writer strike? Tom's dead.
Sorry, somebody's here. I'll be right back.
Oh, all right.
Oh, well, culture.
Okay. Look, I mean,
Respite.
in light of all you said, I mean, I'm on board with you. Ultimately, there's just and again, you would know this, Nate, as many people that follow us would. It's the below the line people that are going to get hit here, because it's everybody else that's affiliated with these productions, right?
And that is always a shame. And I always say this, you know, my rant to one side, I'm very specifically saying that the writers themselves are a joke, right?
Yeah.
I understand that there are, grips and, techs and stuff like this that I just, your average day worker that's on set as an extra, they don't deserve this. Absolutely not. It's the same thing as when we say that, Disney's going down in flames, but they're bidding off 7,000 employees. These are the normal people. They don't deserve this. And so my rant to one side.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just to, contextualize it.
But in to add context to that, you're 100% right. I mean, it's their own darn fault. Nothing that we've seen recently has merited praise. Very little, in fact. And when you do make something, a basic entertaining film, such as, I don't know, Super Mario Brothers, you get chastised because it entertained an entire audience and it had a sufficient story to keep everybody engaged for 90 minutes. And guess what? That's plenty long enough for a piece of entertainment, So yeah, I mean, we haven't been delivered any great television in a long time. I mean, there hasn't been something as wonderful as, let's say, Breaking Bad or Mad Men or something like that in a very long time. And those were both full of some progressive messaging as well. So I'm just like, you're right. You're getting a bunch of very lazy young people who have just been indoctrinated to regurgitate the spew and have discovered that they have no talent for writing within that framework. And they're delivering that lack of talent to us regularly. But I don't know. Tom's back. So let's see what he says.
Yeah, Tom.
Timing of everything. Your initial reactions to this, I do mirror. First of all, the writing's been shit. Not many businesses or jobs can you have where you can do things like this and make a living. So in those respects, and also having a guild or whatever to protect you, I mean, not many people have those things. So
we can lose a studio hundreds of millions of dollars, but give us more fucking money. Sorry, what?
Right. And then on the other side of it, though, the writers are the most undersung people, that work in films. But when you have 30 freaking people working on a movie, of course you're going to get shit on the other end, or a TV show. So, I mean, I don't know if that's to blame of the writers themselves or if that's just too many cooks in the kitchen. I mean, a great example that wasn't brought up already was Star Trek Discovery. Look at all the executive producers on that show. There's more executive producers than there's cast members. I'm not even exaggerating. There's like 30 executive producers listed. And most of these people are basically like writers and other people involved in that. So that's the other thing too. You have creative people who are both writers and producers at the same time. That can create issues because then you have clashing Yeah, that's the thing is it takes a million things for everything to go right on a movie or a TV show and one thing to go wrong. And when you've got 10 different people telling you 10 conflicting things to do, it can be impossible. And only so many people like Alex Kurtzman will actually try and work that into something. And that's, I think, a big problem is, a lot of movies, especially not so much television, but movies especially, used to be pretty much the vision of, you had a writer or two, sometimes you'd have writing partners, but you'd have like a writer or two would write a script, and then a studio would buy that script, and then they would have those same writers or a fresh perspective from a new writer and or that director that they choose for that part. But at that point, maybe 3-4 drafts, 5 tops is probably what old projects used to go through on average, after being sold to a studio, not counting what they went through in the writing process. Nowadays, how many drafts? 30 some drafts it was that Doctor Strange went through?
33.
And that's the problem right there is, well, see, first of all, Marvel's a completely different animal. They run that shit like a television show, basically. And again, you have like a writer's room. But in that respect, it should not be rewritten that many times. This stuff should be pretty planned out ahead of time, I would think. You should have a lot. You should be like 2-3 years ahead of this shit already.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Any of these major blockbusters where you're spending $200+ million on it.
Yeah.
You're doing that many rewrites. There's something wrong.
Something's wrong. And then, okay, as far as Hollywood in general, like, yeah, I think, a lot of these shows and movies going on strike, shutting them down, good. Because like you just said, a lot of it's shit anyway. Most of these nighttime shows, fuck them. Pardon my French, but fuck them. They're shit anyway.
That's the one good thing. They binned off all the late night talk shows. Piss off.
Or at least they're on hiatus for now. And then
but what's funny about it is they're like, well, these late night talk show hosts are comedians. Yeah. So why are they now? Why are they cancelled and the writers are gone? I thought you were a comedian. You write your own material.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Surprise, surprise to nobody. Just like when we learned about like reality TV, and that's why it's in quotations. These all have writers. It's all written. And part of the reason that a comedian or a host can't just go on themselves and do it, because they are all technically part of the Writers Guild too. So you got to keep that in mind. So to be fair, so it's not like the creator can just sit there and write their own show. They could, but then they'd probably get kicked out of the Writers Guild. So whatever, who cares? But at the same time, it takes a lot of work to write a show every day too. What we do here is not exactly easy. Like, I mean, we do a little pre-planning beforehand, but none of this stuff is scripted. If we actually scripted this stuff out and did like a lot of these other shows did, it would take 2-3 days to probably put one of these together on average. So you're doing that on a cycle. That's usually how these things work. Maybe 2 days it's tops, but it's one of those things. And yeah, so as far as the movies and shows that get killed outside of a few of them, I'm going to go, oh damn, it will suck and hurt me personally. But other than that, the stuff that we're going to miss out on, I don't think we're going to miss all that much.
But you say that, right? So it's an interesting comparison, isn't it? A live show like this and a late night talk show, right? This show is obviously, it's unscripted. We have our topics, they're topical topics. We come to the show, we do a debrief before we start, and then we dive into it, right? But that's why planning from the conception stage of this show, because that's what this is really important. You make sure you're dealing with people that you've got chemistry with, that you can bounce off right, that you've also got, a range of opinions that can also flow a conversation a little bit more forward. And I bet you a lot of people who would be here in the chat would say something like this is better, right, than a lot of those late night talk shows. And it's not trying to be an ego, but I do genuinely think a lot of people would be far more entertained by real, actual conversations, unscripted, than a late night talk show.
Well, you're probably right. The problem is there's the lack of control. You've got millions of dollars that are invested in these things. You've got a lot of people to make happy. And again, goes into what we were saying earlier with, 30 cooks in the kitchen when it comes to something like this. You've got to appease sponsors. You've got to appease, because if you're doing
We
Yeah,
have
to a
adverts.
point. Yeah, we do, but
Sponsor.
we don't have the direct connection like say like a
No,
Tonight Show
true.
has with like their sponsors to where they have an expectation, right? But we also don't have Aerosmith as our musical guest and Tom Hanks
No.
and stuff like
so
that. So yeah, there's
you-
a big difference there.
There is, but the relevancy of those kind of shows are going down and down.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
down.
I'm not going to
I
argue
think
that
the
at
viewerships
all. No.
are terrible as well, by and large. I mean, they're not very good. But anyway,
No, but we're kind of comparing apples to oranges a little bit there. Like, I mean, I would compare what we do more to like talk radio.
Yes,
more or less.
Yeah,
but
no, true. So this article has a pretty good, it's like an overlay of it all. The issues, the stakes, movies and TV shows affected, and how long it will last. I like this. Writers made Zaslav rich. Which ones, though?
No.
Which ones?
But that is hilarious.
That's the worst one I think I've ever seen.
I know. Was that? Yeah, I know. What's that? Tom, you're right there.
No, Zaslav is like the Trump of Hollywood. You have to understand how these people feel about him, right? Like, this is why they're trying to go after him, like using, what was it, the what's her face? Was it Elizabeth Warren? Who's like with a whole like, we need to investigate Warner Brothers for canceling such things as Batgirl and show.
Oh, that annoyed me. So I was like, what are you on about?
I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
These guys have such a hard on for Zaslav. It's not even funny.
But even if you swap Zaslav out for anyone, right? It's like, well, which writers? Because it wasn't all.
They would never put Bob Iger's name there. Is my point.
No, that is true. That is true. So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look a little bit more in depth, right? So Hollywood has been a union town for close to 100 years, and in that time, there's been a little over a dozen major labor strikes. The last being what we know, 2007, 2008, Writers Guild of America work stoppage, which lasted 14 weeks and had a profound impact on the industry. And it did. Like, what was there was a James Bond film that famously was heavily affected because they got Daniel Craig to write some of it as well, or something like that. And remember that?
Are you talking about the last one? That was Fleabag came in to write on it.
No, it's the one before. No.
Oh, then I don't know.
In this 2007, 2008.
Oh, that era? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, the WGA strike started at 12:01 Tuesday, a minute after its contract with the Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers expired. The Guild confirmed that the strike indeed would happen about 3 hours prior to the midnight deadline. So this is the coverage, right? So below is a primer covering the issues, the parties involved, and what's at stake for the entire industry. Because make no mistake, it will affect it during the work stoppage. So in brief, deadline, May 1st. At issue, compensation for writers in a changing media landscape. So jobs at stake, 822,000 direct employees, 2.4 million total supported in 2021. Wow. Industry wages, what is that? 81 billion direct, 186 billion total supported. The market, 261 billion in sales. WGA members, 20,000. So that's the amount of people that are primed, ready to start striking, is 20,000 essentially. 350 plus TV and film production companies. So the two sides, right? On one side are the Hollywood studios, network streamers, and hundreds of other motion picture and TV producers, which make and or distribute most content. They're represented in the talks by the Alliance of Motion Pictures and TV Producers. On the other side is the WGA, which obviously represents the writers in Hollywood who are members, which most working scribes are. Supporting the WGA are many other powerful guilds and unions, including SAG-AFTRA and the Directors Guild of America. So they're pretty big names, obviously. So what's at issue? This is their quote. The survival of writing as a profession is at stake in this negotiation. The WGA said at the outset, noting that many members who previously made a good living are finding it much harder to do so these days. Driven in large part by the shift to streaming, although they're shifting back anyway, writers are finding their work devalued in every part of the business. While company profits have remained high and spending on content has grown, writers are falling behind. So the companies have used the transition to streaming to cut writer pay and separate writing from production, worsening working conditions for series writers at all levels. Now, that's not strictly true because they are moving away from streaming. And they're also retracting the amount of money that they're spending on content as well. In fact, we know that because there's many individuals are like, oh yeah, we productions are like, no, we've got to shrink the amount that we're spending now. So that's not strictly true, but fine, whatever. So in its strike declaration on Monday night, the Guild was more explicit, asserting that the AMPTP is essentially out to create a gig economy, work out of what once was full-time careers. The company's behavior has created a gig economy inside a union workforce, and their immovable stance in this negotiation has betrayed a commitment to further devaluing the profession of writing, from their refusal to guarantee any level of weekly employment in episodic television to the creation of a day rate in comedy variety, to their stonewalling on free work for screenwriters and on AI for all writers. They have closed the door on their labor force and opened the door to writing as an entirely freelance profession. No such deal could ever be contemplated by this membership. What do we think of that, just on a whole? Culture?
Well, I mean, to be fair, the impact of this strike is massive. It's gonna. I mean, they outline it there. I mean, you're looking at 2 million plus jobs at however you want to take a look at that. Any kind of stop of work, we've already experienced it. I mentioned it before in the previous segment, where it's just we've seen this before in the global crisis, right? Where nothing happened. What gets stripped further away here, and it's not mentioned in this article or anything I'd heard you guys say, is that this gives the studio carte blanche to move even more into the reality television area.
They still need writers for that stuff, though. That's the problem.
That comes from the producers. 99% of the time, it's the showrunner producer person. But you're right, Tom. They do need an outline. But fuck, ChatGPT is sitting right there. Sorry about the.
That's part of the problem is them opening up the door with AI. Yeah.
Exactly.
So this is interesting, though, right? Because if a Hollywood production uses ChatGPT to write a film, they can't copyright it.
No.
You're not allowed to copyright it. So actually, no one owns that script, right? Which actually opens them up to a large... Now, in the UK, AI use is copyrighted.
Right.
If I use AI, I own that. That's mine. I can copyright that. I own the copyright.
Well,
but in the States, it's not the same. And I'm really surprised that they're opening the door to this, because you can't copyright it.
All right.
You can't copyright it. Now, maybe what they're trying to do is allow this to go ahead so they can then start using it and then submit for copyright and then go through the battle of obviously getting that, in court. Yes, we can now copyright our AI written scripts, but you're not actually allowed to. You can't. Well, it's not the same in the States.
And again, I don't think they would go about doing it with the actual scripts, because essentially anything you do in reality televisions is a contrivance that's actually just kind of laid out in roughly how we lay out our shows. We don't have a script. We just kind of have a show concept with some topics that we're going to cover and things
which is manufactured drama, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's pretty easy to feed somebody into a situation like, okay, like you prompt ChatGPT, you say, well, everybody's trapped in this one house. They can't leave. They all live in separate bedrooms. And
somebody stole somebody else's something or other. And who did it?
Video game or whatever. Exactly. And so, you can rough that out with ChatGPT to make it less sloppy, but you prompt ChatGPT to put that together. And that's not technically a script. It's just a concept. And then you just slap that out there to everybody to interact with. That's it. And again, I mean, that's why Tom and I laughed is like with that particular strike sign, because Zaslav is the king of reality television.
So, that's and that's a big part of this too. And goes back to the last one too. And
Yeah.
there's a few other things that haven't been broached in this. Is like, yeah, a lot of people are going to be out of work because of this if this drags on too long.
Yeah.
That is a problem. But at the same time, like we just said, pros and cons here. A lot of crap's been crap. Outside of a handful of things, I don't really care at this point. But on the other hand, they're also fighting for this equity thing. Look, this is where Script Doctor, and I do suggest anybody check out his video from last night that he did.
A good job. Yeah.
And he's going to try and hop in, I think, today if he can. If not, I know he's going to show up later on my show. But the thing is that he was saying is like this whole equity in writing thing. This is basically like implementing a minimum wage.
Yep.
And I know it's a hot topic on how people feel about a minimum wage, but the problem with the minimum wage is, go ahead, Culture.
Yeah, that's usually where you're going to get paid, and that's about it. And then from there, they're going to use that as the lowest possible basis to start negotiating from anytime you get a bump up. Not to mention the fact that when you look at the way these are being negotiated, the studio wants to give as small a percentage increase as they possibly can, whereas the guild's looking for 25%. But it's the same problem. You don't have a maximum wage, so you're going to have people that are going to be making. You're not creating this equity situation.
You'll have a bigger gap between bigger, well-known writers compared to some of these other entry-level writers or whatever you want to call them, to where you're just going to have more animosity.
Which is why they're trying to create another tier, right, Tom? Like the writer producer.
Yes, that's my understanding. It's like, and that's the thing is, I wish I knew more about what exactly was in this whole argument or what they want out of their strike, because I am not as up to speed as I want to be with this yet. So like, I can't comment on everything, but to me, again, I see a lot of the pros and cons here, and AI and some of the other things that they are supposedly discussing and opening the door for are really interesting. And I can't believe that they're doing.
Well, I mean, they're literally walking into a hailstorm of bullets is what they are. I mean, no matter what they say, I mean, the vast differences that are described. I actually have a story used in the 6-Minute Daily this morning from Variety. That particular story breaks it down, like the difference between what the Writers Guild wants and what the studio wants. And they're miles and miles apart. I mean, like I said, one of the things that's different here is they want a minimum size of a room for a television show. They want somewhere in a range between 6 and 12 writers per show. And then that's based on the total number of episodes. They also want a minimum number of weeks of employment per season, so ranging from 10 to 52 weeks. Because, that's kind of how it breaks down. If you ask Script or many other writers, they usually work about 3 shows a year if they're a television writer. So they'll do that. Some are lucky, they only have to work 2, right? But they usually only get like a 2-week interim between like a writing assignment and the next one that they get. And they try to keep those people consistent so they have consistency in the room. But you can always tell when a show falls off or writers get too expensive. Those things correlate. You can always see that happen. Usually around season 3 or 4 or 4 or 5, is when things fall off the rails. But they are also looking at some other things, like we were just talking about these minimums and maximums. But they also want the thing the studio's not going to give them: transparency. Because the writers know that they are being cut out of the value of these shows when they go to streaming. So, this
is something we've talked about quite often in the past, because, and we're seeing that, well, it's going to become less of an issue the more and more we see ad-based tiers implemented into these streaming services, right? Because sooner or later, and this is to explain real quick what we're talking about here, is when shows are on television. Like, say a show like Big Bang Theory was a huge success, right? So as that show went along, the higher ratings they got, the more they were able to charge for their commercial spots. More everybody across the board got paid usually in those situations, right? Like that's usually how it would work on a normal television show. Now with the streaming, it's kind of like you're all in up front and you have no idea if the show's going to be a hit or not. And then same thing for the next season and stuff. You never know exactly how much of a hit it is unless it's a show like Stranger Things or something like that that's clearly making huge waves. You can't really gauge it. So the writers and other people who are involved with the show can't really renegotiate in a transparent way what they're worth. and that gap is going to minimize now that they're going to have commercials on with the stuff that's on streaming, because this is going to make a big difference going forward. It's going to turn these streaming services more into what standard television used to be, or terrestrial television used to be.
Right back to
basically.
linear. Right back to linear. And there was no point in doing any of this stuff other than the delivery methodology. None. There's no point at this point.
Well, more money, subscription, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but arguably, I mean, I'm going to argue that may not necessarily be the case. I mean, seriously.
No, I agree. No,
Yeah.
I absolutely
I get what
agree,
he's saying.
but
By the time
that
this
was
is
their
all said and
plan
done, it'll be
initially,
pointless. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a plan initially, and then they'll obviously backtrack because they're like, oh shit, yeah, we can't get the money. So, but anyway, so to sort of summarize, to round it all out, I agree with a lot of what everyone is saying, and I am on the side of good writers.
Yeah.
But sadly, and let me be, you know, the sort of nasty devil on the shoulder here.
Ooh.
Sadly, they're fucking few and far between, right? Excuse the language, but they are. And we have seen absolute shit. We have seen absolute tripe. There are loathsome films out there. By and large, that is the market. They're awful. TV shows are crap. Movies are crap. And the writers are a huge part of that. You know, the sooner studios stop relying on terrible writers, then you know we'd be getting better stuff, right? Like better product, better movies. Now maybe that's because the pendulum swung one way, and then they thought, oh well, we need to get more writers that are associated with a certain thing, so we'll get them on board. And then they realized that the pendulum's swinging the other way now with the likes of Mario getting such big money, so we need to go get them. I don't know. I don't particularly care, but I'm not massively sympathetic towards I'm not sympathetic towards the majority of these writers, because the majority of them don't deserve the money that they're getting as it is, right? They just don't. And I know a lot of people will be, you know, they're on the side of good writers. I agree with everything everyone said, but they're few and far between. A lot of them are absolute shit. They're garbage. They're absolute garbage. And we see, as someone's just said, nepotism in the chat, right? We see a lot of writers that come up through nepotism. What was the Kasdan's son? I mean, he was on board.
Both of them, actually.
Yeah, there you go then. Do you know what I mean? Like, fuck these people. Like, these people are absolute chumps. They honestly, they couldn't write a children's story. Right? And these are the same people that demanding really good money. No, you shouldn't be in the job. Right? You shouldn't be in the job.
Yeah.
And that's as simplistic as it is. But good writers, I agree. Massively. Closing thoughts, Tom. Culture.
Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of that. Like I said, we've been on both sides of this. There's a lot to take in, but really at the end of the day, the only shows that I have that are going to be affected are really going to be like Cobra Kai so far. Maybe at worst, Yellowstone is another one that's kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other stuff that's been reported already, I'm like, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So at this point, it's kind of I don't know how to put it. It's a double-edged sword of sorts, because I'm with you. At the same time, it's like, y'all are a bunch of babies. You have a dream job. This is the same way I feel when sports people go on strike, or anybody else who has a job that would be considered above the line, where it's like, oh, boo fucking who. You can work and work your shit out at the same time. I don't understand this. Because what are a lot of these guys going to be doing aside from the few hours they do spend on the picket line? They're going to be at home writing their own personal projects. And when they come out of this shit, they're just going to turn around and sell those projects. So then a lot of them aren't going to be really out any money. The only people that are going to get hurt, and this is the same with any strike, the only people who are really going to get hurt are the people who really need it, right? Are the people who are, you know, struggling and don't have a constant income, or some big name writer, director, producer who's going to be able to just kick back and afford to not work for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months.
Yeah. Culture?
I don't know that I can disagree with anything Tom said. Sorry. I just, that's the problem, is it hurts the below the line people that I know that aren't writers, that are just tangentially affiliated with Hollywood, people that work in the electrics, the lighting, the people that work, you know, in some practical effects jobs. It's in people that are only tangentially related to Hollywood that just do gigs, and it's sad because again, the writers do deserve to be compensated, and they do deserve a look at what these shows actually earn. But at the end of the day, this is their last opportunity at leverage, and I think they really should have taken advantage at the previous opportunity. Because if you go back just a few years ago, I think it was 3 years ago, Tom, is that right? Am I thinking correctly? I think that was the point at which they should have taken their stand, because it would have been,
when it comes to the streaming stuff, definitely.
Yeah, it would have been more terrifying to Hollywood to have not just the global crisis, but also a writer's
They were
strike.
also bleeding the money at that point. Now there's no money to be had, right?
Yeah,
this is the same thing as the last time when they were going after the internet money that wasn't there.
That wasn't there.
Right.
No
Like
money.
South Park did that whole episode about it. It's like, that's the joke. It's like, it doesn't exist. So what do you want? Right. Like, and that's the same problem now. It's like, yeah, the money's gone now. Now you should have done it back when these things were being built. Right. When they were talking about launching HBO Max and Disney Plus, that's when the writers should have been like, okay, now we need to talk about this, because this is not like standard television to where we're going to be compensated correctly.
Changes the dynamic. Yeah. So we do have some super chats that have chimed in on this. So Austin Smith. So if you want to join in the conversation, super chats are a really good way to do it, ladies and gents. Obviously, at the end of every single topic, we'll cover your super chats. Whatever's come through whilst we're discussing a topic, you obviously join in on that topic, but you can ask us anything as well. So please don't think that it has to be on that topic. Please do as well, guys. We've got 350 people here. Hit that thumbs up button. I really would appreciate it. And please do check out the link in the description box to Missed Age Review's live archives. It's where this podcast goes, the best bits, the clips, as well as the full podcast episodes. And everyone else's channel here as well goes there. So Austin Smith for $9.99 says, it's a shame because I have a master's in creative writing and I would kill for a writing job to write a script, but Hollywood would rather hire brainwashed morons to ruin movies and or TV shows.
Well, now is your time to shine, Austin.
Well, I mean, that is actually, there's a very good point from Tom, in fairness. Yeah, now is your time to potentially try and get in there.
This is where a lot of people we got the last time around came from, Kurtzman. Is they were either people who weren't part of the guild or they stepped over the line.
Yeah, but I think Austin sort of touches on what I've said. Is it Hollywood that want these type of writers, the brainwashed morons? Is it that they thought that that's where the pendulum was swinging, so they hired a bunch of them, the ones which are currently striking? Or is it that that's just that is the slew of individuals that are there in the industry ready to go? I mean, it's I don't know. Like, it's a
I think it's a snake eating its own tail kind of thing, or chicken or egg kind of situation. It's which did come first. Is it did they fill a need or did the need make them? That's kind of the question. Because a lot of people in Hollywood, from what I've heard, at least a good portion of them don't agree with this crap. They just go with the flow because otherwise they know they're not going to have a job on Monday.
Well, so that's really interesting. So on, I talk to some directors. I would say we're on friendly terms. Friendly enough that people sort of divulge information. I mean, I know of directors that have unequivocally just up and left LA because they're like, this place is a fucking shithole now.
Yep.
I was literally in my garden. I've got a newborn, and there was a gunshot, across my yard. I'm done. This place is an absolute shithole. And obviously, in that, they start to talk about their sort of political affiliation as well. And they don't agree with it at all. And these are directors. They don't agree with it. They're not interested in it. They don't care. But maybe it comes from on high. I don't know. It's tricky.
Yeah.
But when we talk about a need and a gap in the market, Austin, now is that gap in the market.
Yep.
Now is the time that there is a place that you could fill, which could now potentially start to change things in the sort of media landscape. And on that note, we also have Nick from Echo Base Network.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Nice to have you on, dude.
Yep. Glad to be here. Just got finished up and got freed up, so here I am.
Excellent. So we're just covering some super chats from our initial topic.
All right.
So good timing. Let me scroll down. So we got one from Chris for $2. Says, looking like the strike will delay the MCU and Star Wars. And nothing was, nothing of goodness was lost. My brain's not working. I'm heavily dancing. Nothing of substance was lost at that point. Yeah, nothing of value was lost. Good. Fuck the MCU and Star Wars at this point. Absolute garbage trash. Tom Workin sent a $3 super sticker. Thank you so much, my man. Do appreciate it. We've got a $10 super chat from Bamagrad. Says 2 strike-related questions. Well, we're doing it right now. 1, in the past, when picket lines were set, other unions would respect and not cross. Is it still observed? Yeah, I think it is. I mean, that we've already heard that there was it was SAG-AFTRA and DGA, wasn't it? They're backing the WGA on this, but there's no other. I don't think there are other writers' unions.
No, not really.
Not within Hollywood. So there's actually they've essentially got the monopoly on this, and they've got Hollywood by the balls in that respect because there's no other unions.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it goes kind of what I was saying too earlier. Is a lot of the people that are supporting this are people who already have enough money where it don't freaking matter anyway to them.
Yeah,
that's the whole point. So yeah, all these guilds support each other. That's their whole point. Yeah.
Yeah, and and the Teamsters came out directly and said, "Do not cross these lines."
Yeah.
So
yeah. And then 2, any idea the size of the strike fund and payments to strikers? I don't think that's been revealed, is it?
No offhand. Yeah.
They have a war chest.
Oh, do they?
I'm not sure to what extent. I know they've been preparing for this for many years, and I know that this strike authorization vote was held over a month ago. As we talked about and reported back then, I think Nate even reported it on this show that 98.2 or 7% of the people that responded voted to strike. So this is a wide. This is everybody's going to do it, and so at least as far as the writers are concerned. Now, the other thing here, Bamagrad, just a little bit to add to that, they may get the minimum amount, the set aside fund or whatnot. But for how long is that going to last? Is this going to be like 0708? And are they going to, and are they allowed to pull from the pension funds and things like that? I have no idea on that. I do know that this isn't the only possible strike. I said that at the beginning of the show. I'll say it again. You have the Directors Guild coming right up, and then the Screen Actors Guild coming right up. So, not to mention 2 other guilds that are tangentially associated with Hollywood that also are in the middle of a labor dispute. So this is the worst possible storm at the worst possible time for Hollywood. And you know what? The studios are just leaning into it. It's not a good time.
Well, I wonder why they are, though. That's the interesting question. Why are they being so heavy and hard on it? Maybe it's just the fact that they literally don't have any money now at this point in time.
Well, I think
they are having a cut budgets and things like that.
I think that they have to be cavalier about it or have that appearance, because I think you're right to suggest that, Nate. And I think, Tom, we've heard something like that about the money, the outside money drying up. There's only about $61 billion headed to Hollywood this year from the outside.
Like I said before, it used to be like the equity and inclusion and LGBTQ money. Now that's dried up, and now they're moving on to the environmental money. So you'll see that swing here pretty soon. Anyway, we're already starting to see it with certain things. But that's kind of so lesser of 2 evils in that respect. But I guess
they already confirmed that. They already confirmed that with Disney, didn't they? Saying that was it BlackRock had a specific global warming fund or something like that people can access if they start to promote it in their films.
Yeah, this isn't even something they kept secret. And then Illumination's next movie or whatever, or is it DreamWorks? I can't remember. I think it was DreamWorks. That Duck movie is clearly got an environmental message to it. And we've been through this already. It was during the late 90s. We got, the Armageddons and Deep Impacts and the Day After Tomorrows and all that kind of stuff. So get ready for the day after tomorrow. So
now there
is a week after tomorrow.
There is some additional guidance I want to jump into. DGA says if you as an individual refuse to cross a picket line and perform your DGA covered services, then your employer has the right to replace you. So the guild itself must contractually assure employers that our members will continue to perform DGA covered services during the term of the basic agreement. In other words, they're saying that you at your own cost can skip out on essentially decide to not cross the picket line during the WGA strike, but that until the end of their contract, they're contractually obligated to their employers. The IATSE itself,
Right.
the IATSE itself says that the 40,000 West Coast members are not expressly prohibited from honoring picket lines, and therefore they do retain their right to honor a lawful picket line, but the employees can temporarily be replaced by other workers who decide. So there you are, and vice versa. SAG-AFTRA advised on April 30th that they are advising members to continue to work on any project that remains in production, which isn't going to be a lot of them, during a potential WGA strike. If a performer decides not to report, the union continued, you may be in breach of contract claims or be subject to termination by the producer. The union cited its no strike clause, workers' personal service contracts, as a reason for the advice. That doesn't mean people aren't going to honor the picket line. So a lot of these are just like protect yourself legally statements by all these other agencies.
But then again, a lot of these things are being shut down, so it's a
non-issue.
Yeah. And thank God SNL just shut down and they're not doing the Pete Davidson episode. Not that I gave a crap in the first place, but I just hope that show dies. And
I think it is dying. I mean, it is dying. I mean, SNL has been a dying thing for 10 years. So
we've got a $19.99 super sticker from Noah R. So thank you so much, my dude. I see you there in the chat, talking away, contributing. Thank you so much. You're basically always here, so thank you. We also had Tom Workins and a $5 super sticker as well. Thank you so much, my man. Again, always see you in the chat. Thank you for dropping in. Thank you for contributing. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And thank you, everyone who hit that thumbs up button on your way in. If you haven't, please do it now. Would appreciate it. Andrew Esty for £4.99 says, happy belated birthday, Mr. H. Hope you had a great day. Buy yourself a beer after your competition. Good luck. So for those that don't know, it was my birthday on Sunday. Thanks. And I sort of did like an impromptu, and it kind of was impromptu, really. Yeah, it was like a late night chill stream. I was planning to go on a bit longer than I did. I didn't do it for very long. But yeah, it was my birthday on Sunday, so did a stream then. But thank you so much, Andrew. And I'm not going to try and say your name because I'm going to insult you, and I don't want to mispronounce your name. Ali sent £5 and says, there are many bad writers in Hollywood, and we are buying cinema tickets, but why not sit around a table and sort this out instead of being lazy? How do you mean? Why not sit around? Are you talking about the striking? Is that what that is? Because if so, they are trying, I think, aren't they? I mean, that's the studios have just out and out said no. I'm guessing is that what you think is meant by this? Why not sit around a table? That's what it says to me, I think. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so, but I think it's just maybe it's just a misconception of what's going on, and that's kind of what is going on. But at the same time, they've been trying to do it without stopping work, and up to this point, like Nate just said, the studios are like, go F yourselves. So like, all right, well, I guess we have no choice but to strike, and that's kind of how these things work. The negotiations didn't work out, so now they go back to the drawing board, basically.
Well, again, I'm going to point out, and I think I'm accurate when I say this: the studios have been operating in bad faith from the very beginning. And again, they've been very nonchalant, cavalier, whatever adjective you want to throw at it. And this is despite the fact that it will hurt the studios for a couple of years. Again, I have a production person that's actually in my chat regularly on my 6-minute daily shows in the morning. And he came in because I did bonus time today, which is just an extended stream. He said specifically that it took them 2 years to recover from the 07-08 strike.
Fucking hell, wow.
You know,
That's big, isn't it? That's huge.
Yeah. Well, and there's a double kick to the nards right now because of the whole, coming out of COVID now too.
Yeah,
I'm curious how Nick feels about this. He's been pretty quiet since he got here, and his alarm just went off. So
but he's awake now.
He's going again.
Yeah, well, a work page. I honestly don't really know that much about what's going on. I've literally been traveling and bouncing around from place to place. I really haven't had time to dive into this. I don't even know why they're striking. Coach, he's been looking into it. He said
it's about what you'd expect.
But
it's about what you'd expect. More money, secured money. You know, it's about what you'd expect, making sure that they don't use AI and stuff like this. So it's kind of that's a quick summary, so we can get your opinion, basically.
But
it's super basic.
Yeah. But the productions and stuff, that like filming and all that, I'm guessing all that still continues. This is only just the writers on stuff that's
without writers, they can't produce anything. SNL, all the late night chat shows are done. They're off now.
Interesting. I'm curious how long this is going to go on. I mean, at some point in time, I'm guessing they're going to end up caving to the writers. I mean, if the writers hold out long enough.
Well, so I will say this: Disney likes to give Billy big bollocks all the time, right? We've seen them do this very, very often. They did it with Victoria Alonso, for instance. They gave it the Billy big bollocks with her, and then they just paid out in the tune of millions of dollars. So using them as an example, PR, public image, stuff like that, maybe the studios want to appear very, very strong, but they will just cave and go, yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah. Eventually, maybe, I guess, if you use that as a quick sort of test subject theory, thought experiment. They love to give Billy big bollocks. They don't want to appear weak, but then behind closed doors, they're like, yeah, we should probably do this now because we're not getting any content. And I think that's probably the way it's going to go.
Yeah, the only thing I'm disappointed about is the stopping of the continuation of Yellowstone. I'm ready to see the next.
That's what I said too.
So let me ask you. It will actually help that, right, Tom? I mean,
I don't know. Here's the thing.
Oh, look at your culture, just casually
he's doing that. He does that. He's got to have all the attention on.
No, Tom.
He's literally talking. Everyone's going to be looking. He's like, yeah, look at my long flowing locks.
This is the moment where I would be. This is the moment where I would be Yul Brynner and he'd be Steve McQueen, and I would say, if you ever do that again, I will take off my hat and you will disappear.
I love it. Culture. That was brilliant.
But now you lose my train of thought.
That was brilliant. That was epic.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, he actually made me lose my train of thought there. Oh, yeah, the Yellowstone thing.
Yeah.
The only thing I heard about that is that supposedly the strike might actually hurt Costner's movie too, so that whole thing might just blow right the hell up.
That's right.
So, I don't know what's going on exactly.
Good though, because that's the movie that he wasn't. No, that is the Yellowstone movie, isn't it? That was his.
No, he was working on a separate project. That's what got in the way, because the short version is they split up the season. He agreed to a certain amount of shooting days for the first part and the second part,
and then changed it and demanded.
And he wanted to only shoot for like a week, and they said, no, we need you for 10 days. And that's where they came to a butting of heads, because then that would get in the way of his schedule of the movie that he's shooting for Warner Brothers, which I don't even know if it's started yet, which that was what I was saying is now I guess this, because initially I was told that might help that situation. Now I'm hearing that that's not going to matter. Because from what I'm hearing, it might be dead, or something's going to happen here to where they're going to have to pick up the pieces when this is all said and done and left over.
God, he could give Yellowstone guys 2 more days.
Well, it would have been almost a week, but yeah.
Let's just get to some last of the super chats before we the laughing was in good jest culture. It wasn't.
Oh,
being
I'm
serious.
not bothered at
Good.
all.
I'm just making sure.
Oh, no,
Because he
I-
does it on purpose.
I get super chats when I brush my hair. See, watch. See, I'll do this.
He has a song for it even.
Yeah.
I wrote.
Right.
But I'm not
So
going to bother you.
And
with
there
it.
comes the super chats.
Doug, 1985, VA Loves Horror for $1.99 says, let's say I write a movie script. Who do I go to? Submit it to a studio, I guess. I wouldn't know the ins and outs.
Okay, well, here's the
specifically.
thing: is the chances of the studio making a movie are really slim. What you have to do now is you're better off trying to get
Production
funding
company.
somehow, make it yourself, or make some kind of proof of concept to get the money, and then that they're going to start buying up independent movies and stuff like that in the next.
Yeah, they will. They
You
will
know.
start doing that soon. Yeah. Nikki for $5 says, I missed your birthday, but the
Oh.
merger lives on. Happy birthday to a reasonably looking man on YouTube. Lol. God bless. Thank you so much. You'll make me blush. So yeah, for those that don't know, people saying the birthday and stuff like that is because my birthday was on Sunday. I did a birthday stream where I unboxed this hilarious big box. It was very, very funny. Did crack me up. So that's what that's related to.
Was it-
But thank you so much, Nikki. Do
Was-
appreciate that.
Was it
Olaf Van Ness.
was it a bedroom stream, Nate?
No, I was sat here.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was
okay.
sitting in his
All right.
chair.
Yeah,
Okay, well then
yeah,
you're gonna lose some audience because I know a lot of people tune into Nate in bed.
yeah, no,
But he's
more
off
people
camera.
tuned into me sat around. Yeah.
Mm.
Olaf Van S for €5 says, happy belated birthday, Nate. Do appreciate that, my dude. And then Muller Webb says, try some Nutella instead. I love Nutella. God, don't get me started on fucking Nutella. Dex for $10 says, I'm mildly curious as to the percentage of writers who actually get hired for good writing and get pushed into writing political agenda content, and who gets hired for being an activist. Exactly. And this is kind of what we've already kind of discussed there. It's
Well,
like,
it's
what
kind of
came
more
first,
of
chicken or the egg?
honestly, it's more of who you know more than anything. And like to kind of go back to the earlier super chat, like another thing is too, if you want to get somebody to look at your stuff, you got to have an agent, right? That's something I
Yeah.
learned when I tried to become a writer, and there's just not a lot of writing agents. That's the problem. They find you. It's a tough road to pave yourself into. But anyway, sorry, go ahead, Mr. H. I just wanted to add that.
No. I mean, I was going to say at the end of the day as well, like, is that when you see, because a lot of these writers are on social media, so when you see them on social media, it's actually very, very clear cut where their political affiliations lie, what social causes they look to sort of promote and things like this. So I do actually think that it's very much a click. Like, we know academia on a whole has devolved into a range of activism and very politically minded for one sector, one leaning specifically, and as such that's neutered a lot of creativity and artistic elements on a whole. And I think that these people are a perfect example of that, because they've come out of academia with writing as a vocation, or whatever you want to call it, and that is what they are. You see them on social media, that's just what they are. So I think actually a large portion of them are simply politically activist element, politically activist minded. So yeah,
That reminds me, that super chat reminds me of, and I'm sure
this
Tom
one?
and Culture, no, the one on the one before it, but it reminds me of the Kevin Smith and John Peters Superman Lives story, where he got brought in to write the script for the Superman movie, and John Peters was telling him he doesn't want him in the suit, no flying, he can't carry anybody, and he wants a giant spider in it.
It was a fight giant spider.
Yeah.
Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Jim Watari sent a $9.99, says, hey, super chat for Tom. Oops, I mean culture. Thank you so much. To appreciate that. So now, ladies and gents, let's move on to our next topic. Again, if you want to chime in on this, as we've been sort of doing throughout this, grab the super chats, we'll cover it. It literally doesn't have to be what the topic is that we're covering. But if you want to join in, get your voice heard, super chats are the way to do it. It literally keeps the lights on. It really does help out. We talk about YouTube and the sort of issues behind the scenes it genuinely does help. But failing that, please do hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the second channel, which you can find linked in the description box, Mistakes Reviews Live Archives. And everyone else's channel as well, linked down below. So, ladies and gents, let's move on to the next topic, which is Duncan. I'm never doing that again. That's fucking embarrassing. On Grace Randolph.
Oh,
Does
gosh,
anyone
she's
remember
back
what
in
she
the
said
news.
about Super Mario Brothers?
Oh,
What did she say
yeah.
about it? Oh, it's not going to make it till Friday. It's not going to make it till Friday.
No.
Oh my
I think
God.
this movie's gonna fall off a cliff and it'll never make $1 billion. I didn't say dollars, I said doll hairs. Duh.
Wow.
And egg on
Wow.
her face. I covered this.
Yeah.
I can't remember when I covered this, when it came out, basically. And I sort of touched on it briefly in another video today, is that, you know, Super Mario Brothers has officially smashed $1 billion globally. In fact, on my birthday, April 30th. And the problem is, you know, you got these individuals that are, activist critics. They sit in a basement theater screen surrounded by other access media critics. It's a big circle jerk of negativity. That is genuinely what it is. You know, like when individuals you see reviewing films generally on YouTube, because we are professional reviewers, we do this. This is literally what we do as well for a living. But we're not access media professional critics. It's a different element. Generally speaking, we go to the theater surrounded by other people. You know, it's a different atmosphere. It's a different vibe. And, you know, you're not indoctrinated in the sort of negative bubble where you're just surround these other negative critics reviewing this stuff. I mean, she even said in her review, she was laughing, you know, at the 3 people that found this movie good and were having a good time. It's literally in her bloody review.
Man.
You know, what an embarrassing individual she truly is. And this is part of it. You know, go to the theater, surround yourself with other people, not necessarily like-minded. I mean, it's not like-minded, but, you know, it's the general public. Get a real feel for what the actual public thinks about a movie. And sometimes, not always, that positivity rubs off on you. You go, oh, yeah, this is actually, you know, it's nice, you know. I can hear people laughing. They're having a good time. Oh, you know. And not all the time. You know, if you genuinely think a movie's shit, that's fine. But sometimes, if you're a bit on the fence, being in that bubble, that nice, positive bubble, can push you into some level of, sort of positivity. But look, Super Mario Brothers has smashed $1 billion. What do we think? Culture.
I'm not surprised.
Nick.
Oh, my bad.
What do we think?
Oh, go ahead, Nick. Go.
Nick, come on.
No, I knew this was coming.
You said it here.
As soon as the movie started getting good audience reviews, and people were saying this has got so much nostalgia, so many callbacks. It's a good family woke-free movie, and I saw people on social media all over the place saying, you guys got to go see this movie. There's no message in it, no agenda. It respects the characters, the IP. I knew it was going to be $1 billion franchise, and the fact that they are continuing this with other movies and going to be creating the Nintendo Cinematic Universe. Nintendo's about to smash everybody. Disney, Pixar. They're about to be the top dog on the block. But yeah, I'm happy for it. I hope it hits 2 billion. I mean, that's not going to happen, but
Yeah. It hit $1 billion in 26 days.
Yeah. Yep.
26 fucking days, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a billionaire.
And I don't know if this was one of the topics for today or not, but Return of the Jedi hit over 5 million on only 475 screens.
You know what's sad is what it did years and years ago as the special edition when it was still at the height.
Yeah.
Height of its.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But no marketing,
I'm sorry.
no promoting. I'm not trying to get off topic, but just wanted to throw that in there. It was number 4 over the weekend.
No, it's worth going because it ties into this, right? And it's that hunger. You know, we say that this movie doesn't have any woke stuff. It's not anti-woke either.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have started to claim that this is anti-woke, right?
No.
It's not. It's just a normal bloody movie.
Yeah, it's just a good
You're not going to
movie.
look at Star Wars, the original, and go, well, that's anti-woke. No, it's just normal. It's
Mm.
normal. It's just a normal film. It doesn't sit on any side of the culture war at hand, you know, the sort of cultural relevancy, the sort of discussion. It doesn't.
Mm-mm.
Super Mario Brothers is just a normal film with good, wholesome messaging. It has Peach being a badass. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Many, many powerful women in cinema, you know, characters. And it works and it's great and it gives little girls something to look up to as well. Normal films.
Yeah.
And what you said about Star Wars, it just goes to show that there is an unequivocal hunger for just normal films.
Yeah.
Just
Just good movies.
good, normal films.
Entertain us. Don't preach at us. You know, none of that
Yeah.
crap.
I don't go to the cinema to fucking lecture, for goodness sake.
Mm.
You know, I go to the cinema to be entertained. But Tom, what do you think? 26 days, $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of the proud people who predicted early on that Mario Brothers would not only pass $1 billion, but was likely to be the biggest film of the year. And there were some people who didn't agree or laughed at, you know, mine and others on this panel's predictions. But Mario's a big deal. It's no surprise, and I have a feeling it's going to keep playing up until this weekend. It might have some competition, but even after that, depends on how this weekend rolls for Guardians of the Galaxy. And I know we may get into that a little bit later, but congratulations to Mario Brothers and Universal, Illumination, Nintendo. They pulled it off brilliantly. And as far as Grace Randolph, or Disgrace Randolph, as we should call her now, fuck, hang on her face, man.
Can
It's
I
not going to
point-
make till Friday. Fucking what?
Well, but she didn't say which
Jesus.
Friday. So she didn't say which Friday. Come on, Mr. H. Let's be
All
honest.
right,
She didn't
yeah.
say
Well, no,
which
she did
Friday.
say it won't ever crack $1 billion, she said.
Well, okay, so there she's wrong. But there, at some point, there will be a Friday that it doesn't make it to. I mean, she was
Yeah,
inevitably
true.
going to be
True.
correct. But
Yeah.
look, all I know is that if you look at if you look at this film and the mirror it has, as Tom talked about, to Top Gun Maverick, they're nearly identical. If you look at their performance, it is a film that a lot of people are going to see. They're seeing it more than one time. They're getting a lot of enjoyment out of it. And, it's you don't see a lot of films domestically hit $500 million, right? And we aren't even at the apex of what we're going to see coming out of Japan and South Korea. You know, because those markets just barely hit this last weekend, right? The 25th and the
Yeah, it
28th.
just opened, yeah.
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 So, give them a week and see where this thing ends up. And it had some competition in the box office for another animated film, and Susumi. Yeah, it was another animation, but we'll see where it ends up. I think it's going to be do rather well, and I think that Nick is 100% right. I think that the fact that this is just going to continue to go on and on and on in other forms and other films, Nintendo's going to whip the very beleaguered Disney, and who's running to the bank with those bags of money? Universal.
Yeah, well, Nintendo was so smart, right? They released this. They approve everything. So it's literally Nintendo are the reason this is a good film.
Yeah.
So they approve everything. They also released, it was like a Mario game was released at the same time as well, or something like that.
The new Zelda game. The new Zelda
There you go,
game.
new Zelda.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think there was
and-
some phone game or something.
Yeah,
or
but yeah,
other.
and
I
that was-
could have sworn there was a Mario.
Yeah, because
thing, but-
Miyamoto or whatever had teased it in his interview. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they just Nintendo's just cleaned up. They're laughing because now they're top dogs.
Yeah. I mean,
they've stolen the family media market share from Disney. That's
And
it.
video game movies normally don't do this well.
No,
Well,
They're
they
going
don't.
to say they stole the family jewels.
Yeah.
yes, they did.
Well,
Well,
the
it-
irony was 20 years ago, Disney released the original Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's got to be
Well-
even the bigger kick to the nuts, but yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so at the same time, right? They release a brand new Nintendo Switch OLED model. So that came out on the 28th. So that's brand fresh. It's based on the Tears of the Kingdom, which is the new Zelda game, which is coming to the Switch on May 12th. Right? I mean, it's like the successive level of events that Disney used to do as part of their synergy that
now they can only dream of.
Yeah, they can't. They don't. They can't do it anymore. They don't know how to figure it out. And then and nobody buys their merch, and everybody's buying the heck out of this Nintendo stuff. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I honestly I saw that movie and I came home and I was like, I started looking for Nintendo Switches because I just wanted to play Mario Kart.
And
You know what I mean? Like I was like, I just want to play Mario Kart.
you should play with the boss and I. She's got her own Switch. I mean, you know, it's a good time, man. Mario.
No,
Kart's
I need to. I do need to. It's on my Amazon wish list. I'm just sat there like I just need to press
commit.
That button.
You need to commit.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm one of these. I don't buy stuff for myself like that. And
I hate buying stuff for myself, right? So yeah, I feel you.
Right.
Also, Lego dropped a lot of Mario Lego sets.
They did.
Yeah, so that would be licensed out, smart, shares, Nintendo. Very, very smart with this stuff.
The Bowser set's like $270.
The California theme park opened up, like the miniature version. The big version's opening up in Florida in less than a year, or right about a year.
They're going to clean up from Disney on that as well in Florida.
Yeah. They're stealing market share in the theme park, like in the theme park business, like crazy, you know. And they're about to build the new Texas park. They've got the permanent installation of Hollywood Horror Nights going in Vegas.
Yeah,
they have major plans for that Texas location. So they're not going to stop at the family-oriented park. They're going to expand the hell out of that. I'm looking at it going, wake up, Disney.
Yeah,
you know, you no longer,
slowly die.
Well, you're no longer the family brand. That's bad.
Yeah,
very bad. Anyway,
let's shuffle on to some super chats before we move on to the next topic. Teague sent $2. Says, "Is Idiocracy a good movie or just a relevant idea? Culture."
Yes.
yeah. I think Tom stole my answer. Indeed, yes, both. I enjoyed the film. Thought it was ridiculous fun. Right? It's kind of like I came around finally. I just wanted to say this because Mr. H was talking about the fact that we kind of do this for a living. I went and saw Renfield, and my initial impression has improved over time.
Good.
So so it's dumb fun. I like Idiocracy, but it's very relevant right now. So I mean, we're watching Idiocracy.
Renfield actually came out on video demand yesterday. Actually, a few films did.
Well, Air. So this was going to be a topic, but we'll just discuss it here. Air is now going straight to Prime. What are they doing?
Well, it was an Amazon film to begin with. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
What are you doing? You're killing you. I don't understand it.
How long was it in theaters for?
Long enough to win Oscars.
Okay, I was just double checking. Yeah.
That's all that really matters here. Again, I don't think Amazon really gives a shit about the box office. Anything they make off the top of it, they're like,
there's not enough diversity in it. They can't win an Oscar with that one.
I don't know.
There's enough diversity, baby. The new rules kicked in.
I don't know. Reevaluate it. There might just be enough.
Oh,
well, behind the camera, maybe.
You got Chris Tucker in it too. Don't forget.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Tom working for $2 says Mario Kart meets Fast and the Furious.
That would be fun.
That'd be like a Wacky Races movie.
Yeah,
it would be.
It's about family. It's a me, Mario.
It's about family. The Mario Brothers family.
Familia. Right. So, next topic. We sort of touched on it briefly, but Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is actually looking like it's going to be a bomb.
Yep.
Now, I couldn't believe this. It was actually Culture that brought this to my attention before we started.
Right.
Now, it was originally going to be debuting projected with $130 million debut. Now it's looking like 120. They've knocked off $10 million.
Yep.
This is worse than Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. This is atrocious.
Yep.
This is so bad. Now, we talked about whether this film could clean up against Mario, right? I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy will end Super Mario's box office reign. I mean, it may be number one, right?
Right.
But you'll get that front load, and then it'll die out really quick. I mean, $120 million debut as a front load is
Soft.
atrocious.
Oh.
But the negative reviews, and I covered this on the channel, the negative reviews of this come from saying there's a heavy focus and overindulgence of animal cruelty.
Animal cruelty.
Now, look, obviously it's CGI. I'm not saying the critics are right, but let's just say if they are, this is a kid's film. It needs children for longevity, right? Again, case in point, Super Mario Brothers has only done so well because kids are nagging their parents to keep going back, right?
Yeah.
Now, if they are right and there is a heavy focus on animal cruelty and overindulgence on animal cruelty, $120 million debut, and then it fucking crashes by 60%, this film is dead in 3 weeks. 3 weeks, this film is done. It'll be gone, done. 100% dead and gone.
Yeah, and then it'll limp around for the next 3 weeks after that, and then they'll be looking at the streaming. And this film can't afford to be that. And I said this from the very beginning. You can ask Tom. I don't think this film is going to do as well as people expect. I said
agree.
it was likely their last chance for $1 billion under the Marvel brand, right? Outside of something Spider-Man primarily. But outside, Disney Marvel, this was it. Everything that's coming afterwards is the A-Force. You're getting chicks with not, prosthetics. And it's going to be, it's going to do poorly because of some of the subject matter. And if it is overly indulgent in animal,
let's play devil's advocate. Let's say they are right on this occasion, right? Let's just say they are.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, this is one I want to be wrong on. This is one I want to be wrong on. Because I love this. I love Guardians, right? And but I'm like, I don't death and all of this other stuff that's playing into this with the animals and everything. It's gonna hurt, man. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I don't know, but yeah.
Nick?
Yeah, I agree. Last time when we talked about this, I think I said that I saw opening weekend for this being like 1 to 110, I think is what I was at. Even lower than what they're predicting overall box office. I think it'll be under 600 million. Yeah, it's just I know there's a lot of people that are actually looking forward to this movie. But with this current state of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think a lot of people are just not going to pay money to go to the theater and take the time to do that for anything MCU right now. I think they're just a lot of people are just going to be like, I'll just wait until it comes out on streaming and I'll just catch it then. All the other Marvel stuff's been crap. I'll just wait. I'm not gonna pay money. At least a lot of people I've talked to, that's what I've heard from people I know in my circle of friends in life. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna do good at all.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, look, you say you don't think it'll break $600 million. I mean, that's. I think that's. If they do only get $120 million opening weekend in the States, the average drop off is about 60 odd percent in the stateside, right? Like, well, a second week drop off just in general is about 60%. I mean, that's dead. Like, that's a tanked film instantly. It's gone.
It's why when you saw Mario have a 30% fall off, it was like, holy crap, this is going to be around a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, worst case scenario, this movie does fall off its second weekend and Mario retakes the top spot, which would be, I believe, a first for Marvel. And because we joked about it a little bit with Cocaine Bear, but if it actually happens, that would really be a blow for Disney. And yeah, this movie has to top over $600 million because of its budget, at least, I'm sure. Now, I guess to be a bit of a contrarian here, as far as the animal rights things, I didn't see too much about that, but what I do see as far as the ratings, yeah, it's getting kind of a lower rating from the critics, and the critics' complaint is that it's pulling too tight on the heartstrings. And the other complaint is that it takes forever to end because it finishes up all these storylines. And I'm like thinking, I fail to see a problem in this. Yes, I don't like the fact that it's 2.5 hours long, but I'm sick and tired of Marvel films and other movies where they don't tie things up.
Yeah,
I want to
agree.
see the ending. This is my last hoorah for Marvel. So you know what? It may be a somber ending, but okay. And as far as like with the kids and stuff, I hear you, Nate, but also we got to remember it's been almost 10 years since the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out. It's been 5 years since the last. Guardians also has a little bit different audience than the main MCU, so it has potential, but if it gets good word of mouth, I think it could have a strong second weekend, but I think you guys are right because the problem you also have is in one showing of Guardians, you can get 2 showings of Mario in that time period. That's another problem. So the other positive is I think I think Guardians also has free sailing up until what's the next big movie that comes out? Like June?
Yeah. No, it's
early June.
Transformers Rise of the Beast.
Is it that one or the Fast X? I can't remember which one, but like, yeah.
It might be fast.
It's one of the movies that comes out early June. That's all I know. Like they've got, because there's not much else that comes out in May.
9th of June, Transformers.
Yeah.
So what drops on the 16th of June?
I think that's Blue the Blue Beetle. I think does. Or no, is that in August? I can't remember now.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, Flash comes out in June.
Yep,
June.
Flash.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that's gonna have that's the thing, is I have a feeling that Guardians will have a soft opening. It might have word of mouth to carry it through, and Flash is gonna have a huge opening, but is gonna play like BVS and dive off a cliff once most people realize what it is. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people who are just going to be like, oh my God, Michael Keaton. Because I've looked at every place I've looked at where the toys are. Them are the only ones that seem to be selling. Those are the only ones I can't either find on the shelf or, I've seen anybody interested in. So I don't know.
I'm okay.
That was a big sigh.
Well, I want the film to be.
I want this to be good. Just I got to
do.
clarify. I do want this film to be good.
It's just. I'm very honest when it comes to these things. I'm pragmatic. I'm somewhat skeptical of things that I see. So I want this to be good. I just am not. I don't see an upside financially. I think Nick is right. I think you could see 600 million. You could see 650. You could see 700. But I don't think this film is profitable. It cost a lot of money. It is nearly 100% CGI, and if it looks, this is the other problem. If the finished product looks rough, that's also part of word of mouth. I mean,
some people have said it's against pretty bland backdrops as well, apparently.
Yeah,
so.
and I mean, people are tired of that, and the poor blending that's done, in the backgrounds. I mean, Ant-Man and Wasp, you can tell. I mean, it's just 90%. If you watch that film, Quantumania, you can see they didn't bother to blend the background with the freaking ground. It's like this delineated line the whole time. It's like they're standing against a picture. Freaking irritating. Sorry.
No, you're right. Like, I want this film to be good at the end of the day. I like. I didn't really like the second, but I have fondness with Guardians of the Galaxy because I like the cast. I liked the first one. Second one, I wasn't a massive fan of.
See, I actually like the second one probably better than the first one.
Yeah, I mean, it's tomatoes, isn't it? It's subjective. But at the end of the day, I like the cast, and I really liked the Christmas special, the holiday special.
Yeah, I loved that. Loved it.
That's the best thing Disney Marvel has done, right, Tom?
Probably besides Werewolf at Night. I know a lot of people seem to like that, and every time I bring up the Christmas special, somebody always invokes that too. Or Werewolf by Night, whatever it's called. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So I want it to go well, but stacked against it. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm watching it tomorrow, guys. So I'll give you my review tomorrow. And it'll be an honest one.
And it could be a good movie. But I think that the current view from the audience out there on the MCU in its current state is so bad that people just aren't going to give the movie, their money for a ticket.
Yeah, well, I think actually to add to what you're saying, I think it's important to differentiate, right? Like there are still Marvel fans, and they lap up everything Marvel. But what made Marvel a success was it captured normies' attention, right? It made normies go, "Oh, I want to go watch this film now. Oh, let's get into the hype of what people are, are sort of interested in." It sort of captured everyone's attention in that regard. It didn't make normies fans, but it made them not want to miss out, and that's why you get that, FOMO, front load, that has happened always with Marvel films, and they were bigger initially because, again, it was like a water cooler movie. You'd stand around the water cooler talking about the movie, the Marvel movie. So it captured normies' attention, but I think normies' attention on these kind of films have waned significantly because they've gone, they're all the fucking same. They're just full of CGI shit now. And now you're left with, the front load opener, and who is it now? It's just the fans. I think that's my personal opinion on it anyway.
Plus the three biggest stars, Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Captain America, aren't even a part of it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that DC did to itself. I keep watching this stupidity repeat itself at all these studios, and I'm like, maybe it's better that we're replacing them. Maybe
they just milk it into oblivion, don't they? That's what it is.
Just to be a little contrarian, though, too, as far as like to expand on what I was saying before with Guardians being different. Like Guardians stood out among the other ones because it wasn't an established franchise. Yeah. So,
Agreed.
It's one of them that my dad likes. My cousins and stuff have talked about that don't care for the rest of the Marvel stuff. Like my dad don't know who the fuck any of the other Avengers are outside of Hulk. That's the only Avenger he knows. Right. And that's just because he knows from the old TV show and stuff like that. But he don't know who really Iron Man or Thor to him is just the old Greek god, Like,
yeah. Yeah.
So there is an audience for this movie, I think. But the problem you have now is that gap. So we'll see how much that messes things up. And you guys do make valid points that I can't argue with about how the Marvel brand has been tarnished. And we've seen it since Spider-Man No Way Home, especially this shift back down again rapidly between Wakanda Forever and Ant-Man. So
yeah. Oh, it's fallen off a cliff, isn't it? I think. Yeah. Let's shuffle on. So we've got some super chats here. So Tom working for $2 says, "Why
come you got no tattoo?
What's that from?"
That's from Idiocracy.
Oh my god!
You're unscannable. Unscannable.
My brain is not working at the moment, guys. Heavy diet. Tom working for $5 says, "Animal cruelty accusation, but does it work in the story? No context with that."
Oh yeah.
Yet.
So
it does, but apparently it's overindulgent. That's what some of the critics were saying.
Yeah. The High Evolutionary. That's what he does. it
is. It is. Yeah. It makes sense that they'd have it.
It makes me wonder, though, why the critics would be bitching about some propaganda in movies, considering they haven't for how long now?
Yeah.
No, you got to remember as well, they are primed to love the Disney movies, though, as well. So there is that, because loads of people are like, well, if the critics don't like it, we love it. It's like, yeah, the critics always love a Marvel Disney movie. So you've got to remember that there will be an element, you've got to question why as well. If they're primed always to love a Marvel Disney movie, if they're now going, that's not so good, there might be some relevancy to it. It's not all of them, mind you. It's only a handful, but there's enough for you. There's enough in that handful of a recurring trend of comments about the animal cruelty aspect, I think, to perk your ears up and listen. Aurora Uplink says, "Sent the story to Disney, a red light. Hope you see it." Sounds like a porno. Anyway, it does. A red light district.
Okay.
A red light. Fuck off.
No, I hear you.
A red light district. Amsterdam. No.
Vegas.
Whatever.
Most
exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
The Seaman, $5 says, "So, Mr. H, you're saying all Marvel has left is OnlyFans."
Oh,
I love it. That was good. I like that.
Seaman.
I like that very much.
That was a good one.
That's good.
Like it.
So from one comic book movie to another,
Oh.
let's talk about The Flash. So this is the key point here. There's two elements. This is the production designer. They quote a figure for the budget. It's bollocks. I did a video on it earlier. It's unequivocal nonsense. We're going to talk about it. But the second element here is that he basically says, I don't think people are going to care about what Ezra Miller's done. It's like, I wouldn't be so sure about that. So let's take a look, right? What's the what this guy's pretty big in the industry, but there's not really any point sort of getting into that element of him. But basically, he says it's kind of funny that I was able to actually do the real deal. But doing the real deal for the roughly $220 million budgeted, The Flash posed its own pressures and greater risks. The movie is a big deal for Warner Brothers. Right, let's talk about it. $220 million. That's nonsense.
Well, that was
It's got to be more than that.
It's more than that.
Bollocks. You're looking at $300 million for this. Easy.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah. This is going to be right up there with Justice League, the $300 million. Yeah, because again, even more. I mean, how many reshoots did Tom? How many reshoots?
I lost count, but
yeah, there's so many.
There was like the initial round, then there was like another round, and then there was the round that was done this last year that I'm not even sure if they're going to implement much of. But
then you got to remember this is sat on ice.
Yeah.
Sat on ice for
for 2-3 years.
Years.
Interest on financiers.
Yeah.
There's interest on those payments.
Look, I've heard this thing is upwards. I've heard this could be the most expensive movie Warner Brothers has ever made.
Jeez, oh Pete.
I can believe it. You also then have to remember that isn't even the marketing budget, which we know that they paid like well over $40 million for their Super Bowl ad, because we know how much the 30-second ad rates were costing. We know it was like 2.5 minutes.
And I've made the argument that I'm kind of to the point where I think they almost want to lose money on this movie or not make any real money on it, because then they don't have to pay anybody for it. Because this is just basically then that's how it becomes a write-off at that point. They couldn't dump the movie like they did with Batgirl, because that was a totally different scenario.
Yeah.
That was straight to streaming. You didn't have back end deals. You didn't have the same type of licensing deals and stuff like that. I'm sure that they could eat, to where in this situation they couldn't. And at the end of the day, it's like the movie, the producers, the Mel Brooks film. If they lose money or don't make any money, then they're better off, because then they don't have to pay anybody. And point to look at would be Wonder Woman 84, because that was simultaneous. They ended up having to pay out a crap ton of money to Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins for it. And we all know that even if it wasn't for COVID, there was no way that movie was going to make any money.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, word of mouth would have got out about it pretty quick. Like, that would have been one of the biggest disappointments had it been a normal box office. Let's be real.
Yeah.
And I don't see this movie making much more than $700 million at the best.
No, DC films classically underperform. You're being very kind, Tom.
Well, no, on the 220 budget, that's bullshit. I say double that.
Yeah.
And
You
then
think
some.
double?
Whoa.
I have heard. Okay,
I
well,
think
first of all,
300.
for me to be told it was the most expensive movie Warner Brothers has ever made, from our recollection, what was the budget for Justice League? 350, I think was the reported
300
budget.
plus, 300 plus.
Yeah, it was 300 plus was the reported budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We know it was more.
And what did we learn like last week or the week before? That these movies cost a lot more than they're kind of telling us, right?
Yeah, because that's their initial. That's their initial production financing.
Exactly.
Yep.
I have been hearing this movie is upwards of like $500 some at the end of the day, or $500 some million at the end of the day, when you add in all the extra bullshit that has come along with it.
Wow.
That's just what the rumors I've been told, and I can't specify. I've heard like 450. I've heard 5. I've heard 535. Somewhere in that region.
Yeah. I believe an easy. I believe an easy, cool 300 easily. Like, I believe that all day, every day.
Oh yeah,
Upwards of that, I start to go, oh, I don't know, but
well, when you factor in a lot of the COVID stuff too, because they shot during COVID,
25% extra. Yeah, you are right. There is elements there which would make me go, yeah, there's potentially some truth to that. And Nick,
and almost every shot is a special effects shot when you have Ezra Miller on screen twice.
Well, so part of this, just to sort of quickly interject, part of what they made, right? They actually built the Batcave
Again?
So
Or the reshoots.
So listen, the original Batcave from Batman Returns, originally crafted using camera trickery and matte paintings, was actually practically built for real this time. They also had to make a Batwing, right? It was reconstructed and updated because the original vehicle only had
Why?
one seater. Because the original only had one seater, so they needed to make one with three.
Well, no, but why would you need to build one? You just need to build the cockpit.
Mate, I'm not honestly. Batmobile was flown in by Warner Brothers. There's so many things which add up in monetary value. The Batcave being correct. I mean,
well, I knew there was something up with the Batmobile because a couple of years back they bought the Batmobile back from the guy who found one of the original ones. I don't know if you guys followed that story at all, but yeah. So this has been a long journey because they ended up screwing up the 2 Batmobiles they had left, I guess, and somebody found one languishing in a junkyard.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this: Warner Brothers' reportedly most expensive film is Justice League, with that initial budget at 300. But we know they spent we know we spent at least $30 million removing digitally Cavill's facial hair.
Fuck's sake. Which someone did at home.
We know that went through one round of reshoots on top of it all. And that, again, these are numbers that I don't think are in the original budget. So there's a lot going on there. Tom, I think, would you think that Justice League was around 400 billion?
No, I'd say between 3 and 350 because they did shoot the movie technically twice.
Yeah, I would say 350.
But that was,
I mean, yeah. I think that's fair. But so if Flash costs more than that, which it probably did, especially because of what Mr.
I would say probably closer to the 400 range at least.
I think they might be over 400. They sat on the film for 2 years. There's a lot of interest going on there.
No,
the initial production financing is not getting paid off.
Yeah.
They're,
like I said, I've heard multiple quotes, but they all range way higher than that. Yeah, that's why I said add it, double it, almost triple it, maybe.
Nick, we haven't heard from you yet, mate.
I'm curious on how many post-production effect shots they had to redo with the reshoots. Because if they had to dump a lot of money into a lot of that, I can definitely easily see this being at like 4.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know. I haven't seen any details come out on how much stuff they redid with reshoots or post-production stuff or any of that. So, I mean, is that something at the end of the day when it's all said and done and the movie comes out? Are those numbers ever generally leaked out or publicly put out there?
Only by way of sort of technicalities. So like, like the Jurassic World numbers officially came out because they had their productions in the UK where they have to file it and it has to be revealed and it's public information. So it's because for tax purposes. So we have access to that information and it's very clear cut. But these probably not. I can't imagine this is going to be anyway.
Adjusting for inflation, probably the most expensive movie to be made ever was The Force Awakens. Because that adjusted for
Endgame.
Yeah, I'll double check, but Force Awakens now, if you made it now for its $487 million budget, or excuse me, $447 million budget, it would now cost.
I forgot how much that cost.
Yeah, it would now cost them $587 million to make.
Where did the money go in that movie too? Because I just don't see it on screen at all.
And that's just production costs. Because if you spend $500 million making a film, how much money?
I love Nick's laugh there too because he knows what I'm talking about. Like, there's nothing special in that movie.
Yeah,
nothing that like blows your lid. Going, oh my god, they created a new something or other or anything with that movie.
Daisy Ridley.
Well, let's not get too sort of off track there, guys. Because there's there's another element here that I wanted to touch on.
Let's say
which was he's literally asked, right? So scroll through, blah blah blah, and they say, look, at the same time, these movies live or die by the reputations of the actors that lead them. In the Flash's case, that says Miller, the beleaguered star of the film, who's been arrested numerous times in the past few years, and video choking a woman. That represents a huge risk for the film and those who've dedicated the past few years to it. But Austerberry says he's not too concerned about how the story surrounding Miller will affect the film. He says, people will forget that, he said, noting that Miller did a superb job playing the titular hero as two distinct characters, which required production to shoot the film in 2 different chunks, with Ezra Miller switching roles every few days. To Austerberry's recollection, Miller only had 3 days off for the total shoot, working 6 days a week and spending Saturdays in stunt rehearsals. So a lot of pressure. I don't give a shit about the pressure. I just think it's a shame when people, like, he kind of has to say this, but don't shrug it off, because people won't, not everyone will forget what Ezra Miller's done.
I don't think
Not at
anybody's. I'm sorry, Nate. I don't think anybody's going to forget what he's done. I mean, it was the
No,
first
there are people. Like, honestly, it's naive to think that there aren't. There are people that just go, I don't give a shit, I'm going to go anyway, right? You know,
Okay,
there are, and you know, that's
You're right.
You know, it's their prerogative, I guess. But to outrightly say that won't, you know, people, who cares? Like, that's the stance that he's taking.
It's very dismissive.
It's that egotistic element of Hollywood that has to die, especially when you're spending over $220 million on a film. You know,
Yeah.
you have to protect that film a little bit more than just be like, who cares? Whatever. It's just nonsense. So yeah, sorry, culture. Please
no,
go
it's
ahead.
fine. I mean, you're right. It's me being maybe oversimplifying things, but I still think there are a lot of people who have pretty decent memories, especially with so many issues. You know, you just think of how many different times he got in trouble. Dude, he broke into somebody's house and stole their booze. You know,
Well, that was a felony charge that he got.
I think
off with,
the bigger, you know, a lot of people show like, oh, they're keeping Ezra, but they got rid of Henry. Okay, like both Safran and Gunn have been asked in the last couple of weeks about him, and both of their answers have been pretty politically.
We'll see.
We'll see, which to
Yeah.
me in Hollywood speak is not effing likely. Are they coming
done.
back? They're done. They just
Yeah.
need to keep him under wraps until this movie is in theaters. Then they will set his craziness free, and he is on his own.
Yeah, I can believe that. I can believe that. So we do have some super chats here real quick. So Tom Workin says, the hell does overindulgent actually mean? I guess like lingering too much on the shots, or so here's a good example, right, of animal cruelty done right for effect in a film. John Wick, right? First one, the dog. You don't really see anything that happens. You hear it, and then you see the after effects, and then the emotional weight of that moment hits you very hard. And with that, you think John Wick is right in doing anything he does. He can murder 1,000 people for all you give a fuck, right? Because of what they did to his dog, right? That's done right. Now, overindulgent would be flipping that scene and watching them do it. You don't need to watch people do those things to have the emotional weight. You know, it's that it's, are you going above and beyond what the scene calls for, or what the what calls for the character to have that emotional weight, and the audience to have the conviction behind watching that character then do the preceding actions. So that's what I would say overindulgent is
That's one
you know,
form of it. Another form could just be artistically as well.
Exactly.
Like thematically, or you know, some people will talk about how overindulgent Nolan is, for instance, and just the way he tells it. Like Tenet is a great example of his overindulgentness of just blandness.
I have breaking.
It could just be something that they dwell on way too much, or like Nate was saying, or whatever. But go ahead, Culture. Sorry.
I know I have a breaking thing.
No,
Did you break now?
Hang on. This is courtesy of our friend Lorena Creole via Twitter. I just shared it. They're desperate.
Wow. So you get a 3-month free trial of Amazon
I saw that
Music.
earlier. Yeah.
What?
They're pushing the music big time with this. This is what I was saying, Culture. Valiant might be right about that.
I think it's the only good thing
Wow.
about it, but I don't care about that. It looks like dog shit. But they're giving
Ooh.
away a 3-month free trial.
So that's Disney linking up with Amazon,
Yeah, they're
paying a
desperate.
percentage. And so that actually takes us off nicely to this part of our topic, which is the long range box office forecast. So that's why you're saying desperate. They are. The long range box office forecast for Disney's The Little Mermaid is not looking good, is it?
No.
Well, do you want to just give us a rundown of it? What?
Oh no, go ahead. Let's go through it.
Real quick, when we went to go see Jedi in the theater, they showed the trailer for this movie there,
Yeah.
and somebody in the theater yelled out, "That movie's gonna suck."
Oh my god! Wow. So we'll scroll down to the cons anyway. So following some mixed reception towards your early teaser trailer, prospects for The Little Mermaid's ability to capture an audience outside of its base could be somewhat challenging relative to the studio's bigger blockbusters. Social sentiment and trailer footprints haven't been quite as encouraging as 2019's Aladdin to date, in the absence of a major star name like Will Smith in Aladdin's case, or Emma Watson and the ensemble of Beauty and the Beast to headline the film may further limit general audiences. This also reflects the fact that while popular, the original Mermaid was not a box office powerhouse on the level of Beauty, Aladdin, or Lion King 3 decades ago.
Wow.
Furthermore, the expectation for in-house Disney films to reach pre-pandemic breakout levels remains volatile to estimate, as their specific and unique audience has increasingly had access to similar IP adaptations and remakes on streaming via Disney Plus. Both About My Father and Kandahar will be in the shadow of Fast X's second weekend. Even though the franchise will not be playing at its former box office heights, the sequel should still be a healthy draw for action fans over Memorial Weekend. So long range forecasts.
Guardians moved down another 4%. Good gravy.
Fucking hell, wow. So where is it?
It's at the bottom. Yep.
Little Mermaid.
the bottom.
$70 to $90 million. Domestic total 235 to 305. That's awful.
That means that if you double it, make that the international box office, it makes 610.
What was the film's budget?
It was pretty hefty. Tom, you got the budget handy?
That'd be really high, that budget, actually. It's not gonna like the entire thing is CG, so that'll be massive. Like really, really, really big.
200 million.
Oh God.
150 to 200 million, it says here.
Woo.
So add a little bit more than that, especially with all these new deals that they're doing, like you just pointed out.
Yeah, and plus the blitz. Think about the ad blitz this thing has been undergoing now for a couple of months.
Featurettes, new things. The marketing push on Twitter's been
now
insane.
the Amazon thing, that would be a cross promotion deal. So I don't think they'd have to pay out for that per se, but like
well, they'd be
there's other
taking a hit on the
marketing
back end, though, wouldn't they? That's the thing.
Because they aren't going to
So
sell
they're giving so they would have sold it. They're giving access to Amazon opposed to selling it. So they're losing out on revenue on the back end.
Amazon that's just a coupon for them.
Well, no, but Disney's not making the revenue on the sale, is it?
No, but all that's doing, okay, look at that ad though. Again, all that is doing is promoting, you get 3 months free of Amazon Music or whatever,
under the assumption you're going to be able to listen to the Little Mermaid soundtrack.
Yeah, that's all that is. It's just because Disney hasn't controlled their music shit in years. Warner actually controls their music now.
Look, Nick, what do you think about this? You sort of chimed in a bit briefly at the start. What do you think? $70 to $90 million opening weekend.
I think that's probably a fair estimate. I think it'll be closer to that low end, that 70, before it gets to that 90.
I don't see where they get this. Where are they getting the overall number from? So if you compare it to the likes of Guardians of the Galaxy, right? I'm guessing they're taking pre-order tickets and just guesstimating, basically. Yeah, but they're thinking of like domestic total, right? So if you look at, this is an opener I would get, right? But then the 351, probably not really. because you think it drops off by 60 odd percent. Like, where are they getting? So I don't buy how this would ever reach, the $305 million realm. I think the thing is, I think with this film, no, I think the thing with this kind of film is that people will go and see it opening weekend, those that really want to, and then that's it. It's dead. It's crickets. I don't think this has staying power at all. Where's the
Never
interest?
underestimate 7-year-old girls.
But you're projecting, okay, but there's fewer of them and fewer of them that are going to go after a property like this.
Yeah.
And you're looking at, and again, this is assuming some massive legs. This is assuming a 4 times performance at the box office. That 90 goes to 305, or it's a 3+ times legs. I don't see that happening.
I just refuse to count this movie out for the count yet.
Okay.
I just don't. I mean, I now, as far as where's these estimates come from, these come from various places.
And mostly
they kind of gather up pre-orders, they gauge social media, they gauge like fan interest as they leave the theater. There's a few different areas and places that they get all this stuff from, and then they kind of come up with numbers.
Well, I ask you this then, right? I sort of interject there real quick. They're putting Fast X only at 186 million for their domestic run.
Domestically,
Fast and Furious films have done really well.
Yes, but if you look at them domestically, not so well. It's mostly
globally. Yeah, globally.
Yes. Because Man Drives Car Fast translates very easily into any language.
Same with Transformers.
Robot turns into car translates into every language easily.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Also, a lot of this Disney property stuff. I mean, there a lot of the marketing, especially on like ABC, ESPN, all that. They're literally paying themselves, to market a lot of their movies. So
true, you are right there. You are right, but I don't see that where the interest is even on like YouTube and stuff. I mean, the trailer doesn't.
Yeah,
I think the trailer's got loads of views, is it? I don't think so.
That's what I mean. And same thing with looking at the Fast and the Furious amount there. That's why I think, and they want to do it on the low end so they can be, they're better. They like it better when they're wrong on the low end than when they're wrong on the high end, because the low end is better for everybody at the end of the day. You get to make the big headlines. The studio's stock takes a little bump. There's always kinds of pluses when it comes to that. Now, when you have a movie that underperforms, the opposite happens. So,
for instance, the trailer itself has only got 14 million views. It's been out for a month. I mean, I don't see the interest. The original wasn't a box office success. I don't.
The original Little Mermaid?
Yeah.
It did really well on video.
Yeah. Really that's not. Yeah. But again, let's translate that now to modern audiences. People know this film's going to end up on Disney Plus anyway, so that's the same principle.
It'll be on Disney Plus in 3 weeks.
So that's the same principle, isn't it? People will just wait, surely.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't.
Oh, I got Disney Plus. I'll just watch it when it comes there.
I don't think. I don't know. I don't see that. I see this being a huge bomb for Disney, like a huge bomb.
Yeah.
Like another couple hundred.
I think they're going to take a lot of L's this year. A lot.
But they did last year, didn't they? Three of the biggest.
They're going to take three big. They're going to take 3 big L's this summer, and then they're going to turn around and take a massive dump this winter. This is going to be rough for Disney and all their brands. This is rough looking. I'm with you, Nate. I don't think this thing's going to do well. I really don't. And you know what? This is one where I'm willing that I could be wrong on and not reading the room proper. But, they spent a massive boatload of money right at the beginning of this month, towards the end of this last month, while I was in Vegas promoting this Little Mermaid thing. Do you realize there are, those massive digital billboards that are in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
There's one that sits right out in front on the corner of the Horseshoe, which is adjacent to Caesar's Palace and the Bellagio and all that. And on all 3 sides, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week was an advertisement for this Little Mermaid thing. So they are spending metric ass loads of money on this thing. So,
yeah, I don't see this being a. Yeah, I just don't see it being a success.
Well, I don't know. The original with inflation actually made almost $500 million. So I'm not so sure how that was a failure.
You're not talking about
I didn't
box
say it
office,
was a
are you?
failure.
You're talking about home.
No. I'm just talking about box office. It made $211 million in 1989, and then I did the inflation on that.
Right.
That's almost $500 million today.
Right.
It was like 480 some million.
No way the new one hits that.
No, and I get you
way.
there. I
Yeah.
get you there. But
that would still
only-
lose money.
Right.
the only reason I will not count this sumbitch out is because each and every one of these reboots has gotten $1 billion no matter what, whether it was Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, every one of them has hit $1
Did the
billion.
Lion King?
The Lion King hit $1 billion too.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
In fact, I think that was the highest grossing of the bunch.
Did Lady and the Tramp live action?
That was on Disney Plus
Sorry.
only.
And
What about
how about
Mulan?
Dumbo?
Dumbo, I think. Let me look at that one.
And
Oh,
Mulan.
God, I completely forgot about Dumbo.
And Mulan did not make $1 billion. Mulan made bupkis.
I thought that was a bomb, wasn't it?
It was a massive bomb. I think.
But see, I'm talking about of this era of those movies that did that.
Well, wait.
$70 million box office.
Dumbo did a 353 in the U.S. I don't know what it did worldwide.
Not $1 billion.
I don't know what it did worldwide. It doesn't say here.
Not $1 billion.
But the Alice in Wonderland did. The Jungle Book one made 966. I think Maleficent and Mulan both did.
Mulan,
So basically,
live action-
Dumbo and Mulan would be like the only exceptions, basically.
And Dumbo worldwide was 353.3.
It said
million.
U.S. dollars here. Okay, so that's the worldwide. It just
That's
said
worldwide. It did 114 million domestic.
Yeah.
And Mulan also did come out during the pandemic. But that being aside, so Mulan and Dumbo are the only exceptions to the rule.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Got some super chats to get to before we move on to another very fun topic. So Aurora Uplinks for $5 says, I assume JJ got a pretty good cut for directing, writing. Has to be 10 to 15% of box office, maybe more, or just straight up 100 million or more. Not given with Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm and Marvel and Disney, they're pretty hot on stuff like that.
I know something that we haven't talked about that I need to find out more information on, but they've been revising the production budgets for Disney related films upwards.
Yeah.
Specifically Marvel and Lucasfilm stuff. So, as soon as we get updated numbers, we'll have more insight because they are being audited internally. So.
Yeah. Tom Working for $5 says gratuity like a Serbian film to a lesser extent, Titanic. Yeah, so that's the overindulgent element that we were sort of talking about there, my dude. And I think, let me scroll down. I think that covers us. Yeah, that covers us. So let's move on to a very, very fun topic now, and that is the creator of the Super Mario Brothers, Shigeru Miyamoto, coming out and basically thanking the critics
Oh, yeah, I heard about this.
slamming the movie, giving it low remarks because he thinks that, well, he's just base. He's not an idiot. He's literally like, yeah, people just don't listen to the critic. In fact, they do the opposite of what the critics say.
Yeah.
So thank you, basically. So the quote, so I had an interview anyway, and the quote was, so I had high expectations that the movie would do well. But when I opened the lid, this is translations a bit off, obviously. But when I opened the lid, I was surprised to find that it exceeded my expectations. It's not easy to make it this far without a little help from luck. Moreover, overseas critics gave the film quite low marks. I think that was part of the reason for the buzz. Fucking legend. I would be happy if they said that it changed the definition of cinema. That's how lucky I was. I mean, he's not wrong, is he? Like, let's be honest. He's not wrong at all. People, like, that, again, we touched on it with Disgraceful Randolph and her comments on it. I mean, it was just nonsense. Like, I'm sure people were like, what the fuck are you on about? I'm going to go watch this regardless. Like, you're just bizarre. People do the opposite. People have cottoned on to what, and again, it's important to differentiate what the Access Media professional critics, their attitude on these things. They have cottoned onto it. You know, if it's not, you know, if there's a certain element which isn't political, isn't, you know, elements which aren't fighting like a sort of a cultural war that they seem to want to promote as well. And this isn't like this isn't tinfoil hat territory. I mean, again, just to highlight, Disgraceful Randolph literally didn't like the latest Rambo film, Last Blood, because it painted Mexican cartel out to be baddies. Yeah, they're the fucking cartel, you dipshit. You're an absolute fucking moron. So she thought that was racist, that it literally highlighted that some Mexicans can be part of a cartel. Well, love, go to Mexico and see for yourself. The cartel does exist. Fucking ingrate. But again, you know, if it's not promoting a certain element, then yeah, they bash on it. And, you know, people have cottoned onto it. And I love the fact that the Japanese just don't give a toss. They just don't care. And I love that. And I love the fact that he's like, yeah, they bashed it. And so cheers, because people went to watch it based on that. Nick, you want to?
Yeah, I mean, the critics before this even came out on the Rotten Tomato meter were like under 60%, you know,
rotten.
and
It's rotten, isn't it? On there?
and the audience scores like literally almost 100%. The disconnect between mainstream media critics and the general movie going audience is night and day. Pretty much like what you said, whatever the opposite is of the tomato meter, you can pretty much bet that that you're going to either love or like it, depending on whatever they say. Very rarely do we get high critic and high audience scores. Sometimes that does happen. I've seen it a couple times, but it's rare. Yeah, the critics were idiots on this, and I liked how he kind of took a shot at them for that. I found it pretty amusing. So good on him for that.
Culture.
I love it when creators are able to smack down intelligent humans like Grace Randolph. Just it brings joy to my heart. Yeah, it deservedly so though. This is one of those times where you could be like, you kind of deserve that one, Grace, and some of you others with your trash garbage takes, and complete bought off opinions, and they are everybody. I'm sorry. When they come out and they say sometimes we're allowed to say what we think and sometimes we just have to grin and bear it, basically that tells you who these people are.
Well, it's a payment by, whether it's a direct payment or it's a payment by proxy in terms of benefits and
access,
sort of access and things like that. It's still a payment. It's a form of a payment, you know, like it absolutely is. But yeah, I love it. I love the fact that the creator of Super Mario, is just like, yeah, like, cheers, guys. Thanks for making Mario a success. Cheers for trashing it. Thank you very much.
That's right. I needed that $1 billion. Thanks.
Oh God, Tom.
Well, I mean, it gets to a point with Disgrace Randolph where you almost start to wonder: are you, really punching down on a special child? You know, because it's just this person is like, I don't know. Look,
I think that's a fair point being made.
I know, yeah. Like, after a while, you're just like, I kind of feel bad. Like, should I even bother with this one? You know, I really get to that point after a while with her because I mean, she's been on our radar for a while, and it's like her bad takes outnumber her good takes, let alone her reporting. I mean,
it's terrible. She's awful. Awful. But again, I just think it's hilarious that, like, it's so transparent now that, you know, that's the sort of the take from the critics, and the disparity between critics and audiences are so big. Even the likes of, I say even, but it's just interesting, isn't it, that it's so apparent that this is even being said in an interview. with the likes of the Super Mario Brothers creator, he's just happy to say it. But like, yeah, cheers. Like, of course I'm going to do the opposite of what you say because they always do. Because you're shit. He takes a crap, basically, is what he's saying.
Love it.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And again,
Yeah.
deservedly so. Yeah, like it's a movie that actually deserved it, which I love. Very, very happy to see it succeed. And more success leads to, or the higher rate of success anyway, leads to the bigger potential chance of many more Nintendo properties being adapted. And they
Which
do
I'm
have
excited about.
fucking
Aren't you?
lot of properties to adapt. Goodness me. There's a lot to go there. Sorry, Tom, you look like you were going to say something there again.
Nah, I'm good.
Oh, all right then.
I know your back's probably getting sore, so.
Yeah.
Ever so slightly. So we got a super chat here from Dash Attack VTuber.
What's up?
$4.99 says the only success I thought Disney could have was Jedi Survivor, but the PC port had a terrible launch. Nobody's talking about gameplay or story. I saw that trending on Twitter, and
good.
Yeah,
they dropped a patch, I believe yesterday, and for PC and for PS5.
But the thing that annoyed me that I saw on Twitter was someone that works within the industry going, "Don't you understand how difficult it is? I give a fuck. Don't ask for money for a broken game."
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
sit there and
Delay
complain that it's difficult when you are literally selling a broken game.
Yeah.
You fucking asshole.
I
What are you doing?
Hogwarts Legacy was having issues on the Switch, and they delayed the release on it. It hasn't even come out on Switch yet
Fucking hell,
because it's
man.
broken. So until they fix it, they're not going to release it. Square with Final Fantasy VII Remake, it was broken and there was bugs on the PlayStation version of the game, and they didn't release it. They delayed it. That's what you do. If it's not working, you delay the effing game till it works right. Not ask people for their money and then have them not even be able to play it. Like Diablo 4 literally comes out next month on PC. I refuse to pre-order or buy it day one because they always break. It never works day one. Never. The last 3 releases, it's never worked day one. It's
the fact that this dipshit on Twitter was crying that people were having a go at him. Going, you can't. Why are you complaining? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because you've literally sold something that's like I wouldn't go to a restaurant, and ask for dinner, and it turn up, half on the plate and half, I don't know, on the kitchen floor, and then go, "Oh, guys, sorry, we just dropped some.
It's hard work.
And bring you something, eventually." Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, you've taken my money, you fucking arsehole. Like, no. What are you doing? Oh, it's hard. I don't fucking cry me a river. I don't give a fuck. You're selling a game. Fucking it's hard. So, what kind of a defense is that?
That's why I rarely
job
buy games day one anymore.
God,
this is fun.
Fucking people. It's literally their job, and they're like, "Oh, it's difficult." Fuck off. Stop doing the job then.
Yeah.
Stop asking for money. Delay it. Like, God damn. I just don't get what. That's their defense. Well, it's difficult. It's easy on consoles because it's all fixed. It's a fixed engine. It's a fixed this. It's a fixed that. It's difficult on PC. Fuck off. Fuck off. That is not a defense. You are absolute arseholes. That is not a defense. God, sons of bitches.
And games are $70 nowadays. $70 for one game.
Well, you say that, right? They're also £70.
Yeah.
They don't really change the price.
Yeah.
They just go $70, 70 quid. Who cares? Fucking it, like that's like $100.
Yeah.
So fuck, it's outrageous. It because people are like, "Oh, you should play more games." Fuck off, no. Like, no way.
I can't afford to play more games.
Yeah, like I don't earn the money back when I play games on the channel. And they're so expensive, and half the time they're broken day one, so you can't play it anyway. What's the point? God, yeah, it's fucking it's hard. Oh, piss off, cry me a river. Anyway, sorry about the language today. Oh, I just think that's nonsense. Have you played the Jedi Survivor or not?
I haven't. I plan to, but I always wait like a week or two once it's out to hear the reviews and see if the game actually works or if it's broken before I pay for it. So yeah, I am gonna play it, but I will be playing it later.
Yeah. God damn. Tom working for $5 says cinematic reiterating of animated IP for Disney equals a distinct move. Sounds cold. Read up on Disney and their history of copyright protection. Yeah, they love it.
That's why they do it.
So does Nintendo though.
It's
True.
It's calculating. That's what they're doing.
True.
Nintendo,
Even if it's a vastly inferior product, it is calculated.
Yeah. Well, the difference between Nintendo and Disney is the fact that Nintendo makes good product. So I'm happy for them to keep the copyright of their product because it's fucking good.
They're notorious on handing out strikes and copyright claims on YouTube real quick too.
Yeah. Yeah, I have heard that. People in the chat are saying that the patch was 160 gigabytes. What?
Good God!
Fuck are you doing?
Seriously, I gotta look that up. Oh,
that's insane.
Oh,
that is actually insane. If that is if that's the truth, that's bigger than. That's got to be bigger than the initial game, isn't it?
No, the PC patch was 3.3 gig.
You sure?
Yep, I'm reading it right here.
Wow.
From DSO Gaming. PC patch is 3.3 gig. Will auto download it next time you launch the game in Steam or the EA app. Respawn has shared the following change log. Do note the console fixes have already been implemented on PC. And then it goes into the whole long list. Oh man, yeah, it is a long list of fixes. A long list.
This happens all the time, and they don't think that they're disenfranchising people. Really?
Yeah.
Really? Come on, man.
Yeah,
like you just said, you're like, yesterday. I'm not buying it.
Yeah. PlayStation, Xbox patches dropped today.
Absolutely pathetic.
Yeah, I wasn't going to spend money on the game to begin with because I didn't like the look of it. I didn't enjoy the previous game. I know a lot of people did.
Yeah, I liked the first one.
Yeah,
the ending was really good.
I'm just not giving them any more money, Nick.
Yeah, I hate EA. I hate EA too.
Yeah. They're shit, man.
Yeah.
Again, right? So this is the difference, right? So Disney has sold, obviously, the licensing rights to EA. Yeah. So Disney are not involved in that, right? Lucasfilm are not involved in that specifically. That's just EA. They're just making the game. The difference, we talked about Hogwarts Legacy, released, it's fine, it just works. It was delayed, it works, whatever. You're right. It's just a working game, basically, for all intents and purposes. But that's because it was Warner Brothers in-house. It's Warner Brothers games.
Yeah.
So they're handling their own problem. Maybe that's it, I guess. I don't know. They're handling their own property. They take more care over it. I don't know. Because
LucasArts was a very prolific gaming studio before he shut it down. Right? Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite games of all time came out, of there called Grim Fandango, which I absolutely loved. They actually had really good ideas. They did have great Star Wars games that came out of there. And then there wasn't any more LucasArts.
Now it's Lucasfilm Games, which they don't actually make any games.
They haven't made anything.
Yeah, I think it's just the go-to department for all the other studios creating games for them. They play middleman.
I passionately hate EA because they are selling me a broken Madden game or trying to every year.
Oh yeah. Oh, I watch Angry Joe's reviews on Madden every year are like must watch. He has to roll one.
Yeah, because he's guaranteed to lose his mind.
Yeah. This is the same thing from last year.
Sorry.
No. It just confuses me. I don't understand how they think that they're not destroying their own market by constantly releasing shitty games. Like Bethesda, for instance, right? So Bethesda were releasing games that were broken as well. Day one on like PC ports and things, massive downloads.
I
what are
will
you
never
doing?
ever buy anything from Bethesda day one.
Or Blizzard.
And
for me,
well,
for
yeah,
sure.
or anybody at this point now. I trust no one
Yeah.
because of what happened with Fallout 76.
Oh,
Yeah.
And then with what has happened with Cyberpunk 2077, which is a
Yep.
beautiful game now. It works. But you don't give me a broken game. I will
Yeah.
freaking lose my mind.
I'll tell you somebody
Yeah.
that's actually good at releasing stuff and it works right is Square.
Yeah.
Square Enix is. I rarely do I get a game from them day one or week one where it's not where it does not work flawlessly.
Ubisoft has a pretty decent reputation too, but
Yeah.
I
they're-
haven't played
they're
a whole
being-
lot of Ubisoft stuff in a while.
Crystal Dynamics used to be really good
Yes.
back in the day. Adam's dropped in, contributing to this conversation. Says my kid played Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and it actually runs okay on PC with even an RTX 2060.
Yeah, not everybody was having the
here.
problems.
Yeah, but apparently the story. Welcome to the High Republic.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
It makes connections to High Republic, which
Yeah.
But
Let's
it's the
get
wrong
High
era.
Republic.
What?
yeah.
How?
I don't know. I haven't played it yet, but I heard that they make direct connections to the High Republic. It's either
that
in
was-
flashbacks or connections, within the story of things that happened a long time ago or something like that. There's connections
That's so
some way, shape, or
jarring,
form.
though.
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense to do that
yeah.
because it doesn't line up with what came before it. It's very what?
Yeah, I've stayed away from the story, so I don't know the specifics. When I play it, I'll probably understand better what's
Yeah, you
going
need to
on,
play it
but,
soon,
yeah.
and we'll get a good review from you because Jesus.
yeah.
The High Republic stuff, it wouldn't make sense to have that in this game because it
It doesn't make
wasn't
sense
in the
to have
last one.
It
It's
did-
wrong era, flashbacks, narratively.
Yeah.
That's so shoehourned in. Just
I
to
might
promote
get
their
it
new
this.
shit.
I might get it this Friday and have it beat by
Are you made of
Monday.
money?
So maybe next Tuesday.
Nick, are you made of money? There's no way I'd give them money right now. What is up with you? What are you doing?
Well, I mean, for review purposes,
Mate, he's living. He's got 30,000 subscribers on Echo Base Network.
which
What's
really
that
Gonna do
doesn't
a
money?
mean
chill
anything.
stream to celebrate for it.
What's
Yeah,
that
this
like?
Thursday.
Wait.
Yeah.
So, guys, please do hit subscribe to Echo Base Network. They've just crossed 30,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please do hit subscribe. They're linked in the description box. Hit subscribe on everyone's channel here. Bump up their subscribers. Give them a reason to keep coming back to this epic podcast panel.
Right.
But that does wrap it up, I'm afraid, because my back is absolutely killing me. Really, 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 really dead.
I blame Tom.
I pivoted ever so slightly today, and I've wrecked my back. So I'm in a lot of pain. I had codeine and paracetamol and ibuprofen before I sat down. They've worn off. All right, so I've had enough. We're ending the stream. So, Nick, what have you got coming up? You've got the chill stream to celebrate.
Yeah. So we crossed 30,000 subs. We're gonna have a chill stream Thursday night, a celebration of all the support we've gotten from everybody in the community and the YouTube space here, and to celebrate May the 4th, which is this Thursday. So it's the unofficial Star Wars Day. I'm sure there's going to be some news stuff that we'll probably hit on. And then we'll be talking about making some announcements for our big meetup at Icon Convention in Nashville at the end of this month that we will be at. Ian McDermott's going to be there. A lot of all the Rebels voice actors.
ICCCCCCCCC.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So we'll be talking about that. If there's anybody in the southeast, close to the Nashville area that wants to come hang out, tickets are still available, and we'll be discussing it more on Thursday as well.
Awesome. Tom, what do you got coming up, buddy?
Midnight's Edge After Dark here in about a half hour roughly to start with. Yeah, I
Nice.
hope to see people there.
Nice. And yourself, Culture, we got coming up, bud?
I'll be on this guy's show, Midnight's Edge After Dark, in about a half an hour, so that'll be fun. And then I have my 6-minute daily every weekday. A lot of the folks here now are joining me for that news
Good.
update in the middle of the day. I appreciate it.
Excellent.
And thanks to all the new subscribers and everybody out there. And Nate, thanks once again for letting me, destroy your stream. So I appreciate it.
No. The chat loves the panel. It's been a great success. I was saying on Sunday, I think, because people were saying, well done on the channel in general and stuff. And I said, I think we've got a really good balance at the moment, between this podcast. The topics are not always what I cover on my channel. They differ slightly. The conversations differ. I cover my day-to-day stuff, and then we talk here. And I think it just works really, really well. I think it's got a good balance. And everyone seems to.
I like the clips. I just wanted to say that. I really do like going back and rehearing what insight Tom has, because Tom's a pretty bright guy. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Not my insight.
Oh, your insight's always flawless. What are you talking about?
Why are you kissing my ass? That's sus.
Well,
he said you haven't hung out for a while. This is
I'm kind of sad.
He's trying to make sure I don't give him a hard time later is what he's doing.
That's actually true.
That's funny. So no, you guys are always welcome. This culture, the panel works because you guys are all on here. So please do keep coming back. But for guys in the chat wondering what's happening on the main channel, well, we're watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 tomorrow, so I'll be giving you my review of that, and then obviously all my normal bits and pieces as well. Over the next few weeks, just as an FYI, my energy levels will be declining further and further into the abyss. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you wouldn't have seen, but I posted a quick little picture just to show you. I was 6 weeks out on Saturday from a bodybuilding contest. Obviously now
you're looking ripped.
Oh, fucking, I've had enough, honestly. It's killing me now. So, but that's why energy levels will slowly be declining. So if my brain stopped, you need carbohydrates and water in the brain to function properly as well. And so as they decline, my genuinely, my IQ is declining at the same time because it's just fatigue is setting in. So to apologize for that.
Good excuse.
Yeah, but it'll be over soon and I'll be back to my normal self. So don't you worry about it. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit subscribe on the second channel, Mistake Reviews Live Archives, for the clips from this epic podcast. But thank you all so much for joining. Do appreciate it from me and everyone else. Take care. Cheerio. See you on Thursday. Bye-bye now.
See you guys.